Tell you the vibe is nice, the vibe is real nice. Welcome the weekend. It is party time, y'all. You just made a very valid point, but it all goes back to my concern about lack of communication with the residents. That is a major issue. And when you have these types of issues, you have to communicate with your public. Also, you must remember, Marcia, that the current administration rode into power talking about integrity legislation, transparency, and accountability. I am not seeing it in this particular case. As Mr. Carter alluded to, the MP for the area, non-existent. You're not hearing anything from the government, and the water authorities' communication seems not to be good as well. But I want to go back to the point that Mr. Carter made about the distribution line, right? Now I have a document here, Marcia, dated October 30th, 2015. It is a Barbados Water Authority document.
This is 2015. You said 2015.
2015. So it says here, it is estimated that more than 23% of the total length of mains in the distribution system are cast irons. These mains were assembled using a series of individual cast pipes, which were coupled together using lead jointing, which created the potential for leakage. Although the ductile iron replacement pipes improved the mechanism for joining the pipes, they did not carry the appropriate interior protective lining, which is now known to extend the life of the pipeline. The lack of the protective lining on the ductile iron created the potential for serious corrosion problems within the pipes, most times resulting in discolored water. So that can give a little bit of legitimacy and credibility to what Mr. Carter said about the distribution line. But I also saw a question from Mr. Stephen Strickland. He said, if discolored water is from all pipes, why are other parishes not having discolored water or something along that line? From my understanding and from the information that I have, the main issue with the water in St. Lucie is an issue at the source of the water.
Tonight, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show. We're coming to you live from Barbados, and tonight we remember Alvin Toppin, January 1st, 1973 to today, July the 2nd, 2025. Deepest condolences to Alvin Toppin's family, friends, and his DLP family from the Marcia Weekes Show. Alvin, as you know, was a guest on our show, and we did a water drive in conjunction with him and others, Shaquani Hunt and others from the Democratic Labour Party in St. Lucie. And all of that was planned right here not planned, but was part of it was executed right here on the show. Mr. Toppin, one of those who would have, fought really hard for the people of St. Lucie concerning the tint water that they were drinking. The Democratic Labour Party mourns the Democratic Labour Party mourns the passing of our colleague and comrade, Alvin Toppin. In January this year, Alvin was ratified as the party's candidate for St. Lucie. He was among the bright sparks within the party and showed tremendous dedication to the role, with robust advocacy on behalf of the constituents of St. Lucie. Most Barbadians will know Alvin as DJ Soca Superman, who mastered the airways at Starcom Network and kept parties pumping. The music and cultural fraternity across Barbados will be deeply saddened with the news of his passing. Alvin showed great promise and commitment to every aspect of his life. After leaving Daily Radio, he took up a new career as an executive in the insurance industry. His intellect and his expertise will be missed across Barbados. And this is the Democratic Labour Party will also miss his contributions at their general council and candidates meetings, along with his warm and friendly engagement. And this was sent out from the Democratic Labour Party. This is what we saw, and so we're just reading that. And the Marcia Weekes Show, we would want to add to those prayers and condolences being sent out to his family, friends, and loved ones. At the top of the show, we showed you just a little excerpt of when he was on the Marcia Weekes Show, and also with him as a DJ. We remember Mr. Toppin tonight, but we have a little song that we want to. It's a calypso by John Yard, and we want to play that tonight in remembrance of Mr. Alvin Toppin.
Let's pray to God to see his listing, 'cause every other day it seems innocent people dying. Not trying to complain, 'cause he knows what he is doing. So I won't refrain my hand, I'll just follow his plan. 'Cause I've lost a few, and you've lost some too. I could bet you never replace them yet, 'cause they are one of a kind. So we take this time just to pause and remember the ones we lost. Oh, and we say, if the whole world forgets you, I never will, I never will. Even if they neglect your memory still, I never will. I'm holding on to these memories of you, hoping to see you someday soon. Dare to forget, I never will, I never will. I will remember you. I will remember you. I will remember. I will remember you. 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 My friends study it. Deaf don't care about your color, your political party. If you break or have $1 billion, it don't care if you're old or young, come from the country or from town. One day we all will be in the ground. Oh, we've lost more than a few. The COVID, cancer, and the gun to NCDs. Accidents caused by reckless driving. Oh, they are one of a kind. So we take this time just to pause and remember the ones we lost. Oh, and we say, if the whole world forgets you, I never will, I never will. Even if they neglect your memory still, I never will. I'm holding on to these memories of you, hoping to see you someday soon. Dare to forget, I never will, I never will. I will remember you. 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 Hey. Should I die? My friends, look around. Don't take people for granted. Let them feel your heart. Let them know they're appreciating. Don't wait till they're in the ground. Spread their roses around. Give all of the love you have for the end of my song. 'cause we may lose someone soon. They go home to some bad news and regret, 'cause there's no time left, 'cause they are one of a kind. Please take this time just to pause, just to pause, just to pause, just to pause, and remember the ones you've lost. Whoa. If the whole world forgets you, I never will, I never will. Even if they neglect your memory still, I never will. I'm holding on to these memories of you, hoping to see you someday soon. Dare to forget, I never will, I never will. I will remember you. I will remember you. I will remember you. I will remember you. I will remember.
Sons and daughters, the loyal sons and daughters, all. And that's who we are, loyal sons and daughters, all. And to all of you out there, all of you, sons and daughters of the soil, we salute you tonight. We salute you. And while we remember Mr. Toppin, who left us today, but was a guest on our show and someone who fought on behalf of the people of Barbados. He fought for transparency. He fought for clean and clear water for the people of St. Lucie. I know that he was probably the only politician at that town hall meeting that was held in St. Lucie by the people of St. Lucie. And we just want to acknowledge his work, and not just in politics, but also in the area of culture through his profession as a DJ. We want to honor that and all the other areas he served this country in business, in insurance, and in different ways. And, you know, tonight, folks, we want to remember you know, all of these, all of our guests and our panelists who take the time out of their busy schedule and who brave it. They brave being on the show. It is something that they do this not because it's easy for them to do. To come on the Marcia Weekes Show, it calls for a lot of courage. And so while these individuals are alive, I want to call their names. How about we do that? I wrote a book. The title of the book is When We Lose Our Fear, They Lose Their Power. And I'm going to read you some names of some people who've been on the show, who I know for sure they have lost their fear. And those in power, they are trembling. And they're like Alvin, Mr. Alvin Toppin, who was able to go to that meeting and spoke up on behalf of the people of St. Lucie without fear. When we lose our fear, they lose their power. And so we didn't intend to start the show this way this evening, but the message came to us only this afternoon. And so we have to stop and remember him. And what we want to remember him. Yes, we're sad, but I want you to take away from this his courage in speaking up. He was on brass stacks. He was on in the news speaking about the water, the brown water in St. Lucie. He was on this show. He was walking through St. Lucie. I saw him there, and he was handing out water to the residents, you know, and he was commended. Even on Starcom for being the only political representative there at that town hall meeting in St. Lucie. And again, I say this is somebody who lost their fear, who did not speak with fear and spoke truth to power. And as we remember him, I want to read you the names. And if Dave can quickly put up the pictures of some of these that I'm going to remember right now. And we're going to give them their flowers while they are alive. Here are some that I call, these are like prophets. These are like prophets. And these, when I say prophets, don't think Bible. Think people who speak the truth regardless of the consequences. People like Lumumba Batson. Let's honor him tonight that he's alive. Well, how about that? How about a Fred Corbin? How about a Winston Clark? How about a Winston Clark who led a march? One of the largest, I mean, it was called a walk. He found a way around the law, and he did a walk, and it was the largest that we've ever had in this modern time. Winston Clark, we salute you. How about Caswell Franklin, who is very busy right now with the union representing people in Barbados? We want to give Caswell his flowers that he's alive. He's alive. And as you go through, you can always put the names of different people and put them in the chat. Put the names in the chat who decided that they are going to lose their fear like Mr. Toppin and speak truth to power. How about a young lady by the name of Maxine McLean? Maxine McLean stepping up to serve her country. How about a young man by the name of Glenn Murray? How about Glenn Murray tonight? Let's give them the flowers now that they're alive. Let's if you know their numbers, every now and again send them a message and say, Mr. Murray, thank you for stepping up. Thank you. What about a tall man from the East called Nigel Newton? How about Mr. Newton? When last, those of you who know him said, Mr. Newton, thank you for stepping up. We're not going to wait until they're gone. We're going to give them their flowers now. Huh? What about somebody from a dumpling from the diaspora called Adrian Hines? How about Mr. Adrian Hines? When you see him online, do you send him a little message? Because you know he's always on social media. Send him a little message and say, Mr. Hines, thank you. Have you said that lately? Yes, Tobias, you're correct. You're correct. Guys, what about another one from the diaspora who is now with us in Barbados a little bit, Michelle Daniel? How about Michelle? Who took up and just went to Dominica with me and went up to Washington. How about another one? I don't know if I can call her name right now on here, but another person. She has, oh, let's see her, SH. That's what I will say. S the first name and H. Another one in the background working hard on behalf of Barbados, hailing from Connecticut. Her and her husband, HH, I think. How about them? How about Rose Corbin? How about Rose Corbin, who does these very detailed presentations? When was the last time you said thank you to Rose Corbin? How about Stephen Strickland, who is going to join us tonight to talk about pensions? Answer all of your questions. So very educated on this matter, and in a professional way. He sent me his PowerPoint being prepared by another one that I can't call the name of that person. I can't give out all my people, but you know who you are. Take your flowers tonight, madam. You help to prepare those wonderful PowerPoints. Take your flowers. You're a loyal son and a daughter from this soil, and we honor you tonight. We're giving flowers tonight. How about a man called Victor Lewis? Would we have known about Joe's River outside of Victor Lewis? Let's give him some flowers. When you see him in the supermarket, anywhere, you give him a shake hand and a hug and say, thank you, Victor Lewis. We're not going to wait until they pass. How about a man called Theory Gittins, a young man called Theory Gittins, who gave such a wonderful presentation the other night and all the other times whenever he came on? How about a girl called Connie Hunt? How about a Janine Butcher, which we haven't seen her a little bit. She was out of the island, but who would have come on here and presented and moderated on my behalf? Another young lady who's not, but she'll be coming back next week, she told me. How about Mr. Don Leacock, who went to Washington and presented and represented us in Washington, and who comes on with these very pointed presentations? Very intelligent young man. Do you send him a little link when you see him on Instagram? Do you put something in his DM to say thank you, Don? Give him the flowers now. Give him the flowers now. Yes? How about Timon? How about Timon Howard? You remember Timon Howard? Who floored that lawyer, that 200,000 US lawyer in Washington? You remember him? You remember Timon Howard? Who remembers Timon Howard? Timon, we celebrate you and we honor you tonight. How about Kemar Stewart, who was on here with us sometimes 4 times a week, 3 times a week, on in the latter part, one time a week. Kimar, we say thank you. Thank you, Kimar Stewart. Did I mention Caswell Franklin? Yes, I think I did. Right? How about Bongo Lights? Yes? How about Bongo Lights? And, you know, he and Lumumba put on their videos all the time. And I cannot forget our Monday host. I was leaving him for last. Our Monday host, none other than the brave Dr. Ferdinand Nichols. Every time he comes on here, I'm telling you, it's a brave act for Dr. Ferdinand. And he does it with a sincere heart. It's a brave act for him, because I tell you, a lot of people in the church world, they don't recognize what he's doing, and they don't see it as godly. Do you know what it is for a pastor to mount a platform like this? A lot of you take it for granted, you know. Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, every time that he mounts this platform, he's defying the religious people who said, he tells him, you should not do that. Don't associate with that show. He's a brave man. I can tell you that. Yes. And who else am I? Mr. John Knox. Mr. John Knox, who wasn't well, but they didn't say I could say anything, but I didn't say anything. So I didn't say anything to you all. You know, Mr. David Gill, who calls in sometimes. Yes, former Senator David Gill. Right? And we're going to get to the opposition leader. We're going to get to him. Don't worry. I started off by, you know, those who are consistently coming on. Apostle Canterbury, another one who defies the odds and comes on. Tonight, we remember them. We remember them. Lynette Eastmond in the beginning, who was here. Yes. 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 Dr. Tall. Yes. Yes. Grenville Phillips, thank you for braving it. Somebody told me today, Marcia, it's not easy to get people to come on the Marcia Weekes Show. And that's why I'm in the spirit of giving flowers to Alvin Toppin. I want to do it in this lifetime because it's not easy. Colin Spencer, who says to me, Marcia, I can't get people to come on here. Kid Sight, who comes on. And a lot of the other Calypsonians, they will not come on the show. They're scared. But to all of you who speak truth to power, yes, I want to give a special thank you to the brave, powerful, courageous Ralph Thorne. It took a lot of courage to decide that he was going to cross. It took a lot of courage to cross and then to go every week to sit across from them and face them. Have you ever sat and thought about that? When was the last time you prayed for Mr. Thorne? Do you think it's easy? It's not easy. I can tell you that. It's not easy. It's not easy. Yes, you mentioned Fred Corbin and the two senators. What about those two senators? Senator Ryan Walters and the president, Senator Andre Worrell. You think it's easy to go inside there with them? You remember when how they shouted down Ryan Walters when he went in there first? You think that is easy? I want you to stop and think about it. When you get sad and you shed a tear for Mr. Alvin Toppin, remember hearing his voice on the radio. Remember hearing his voice in the news and on Brass Tacks and on the Marcia Weekes Show and on his Facebook as he put up videos. Remember how he stood up for people. He is a regular person like you and I, a DJ. Sold a businessman and insurance, selling insurance, etc., but decided to step up. Just like Paul, I can't remember his name, the other night stepped up. Kathy Weeks stepped up and come on here. And I want to say, guys, say a prayer. Those of you who believe in prayer, everybody doesn't, and I respect that. But those of you who do believe in prayer, say a prayer for all of these people. Yes, Pastor Lucille Baird. Pastor Lucille Baird. And you know, the thing about this, I see Mrs. Strickland there. Mrs. Strickland, I'm going to give you back your time. But I really want to do this tonight. I want us to understand something. You don't have to like these people. You don't have to like Mr. Thorne to recognize what he's doing, you know. You might say, I don't like him. But can't you stop and recognize what he's doing? Don't wait until the day God calls these people home. Then you're going to now say how great they were. Yes. Yes. It's not even easy. And mention, you said Stephen Strickland, and he will be coming on. Yes, we mentioned, thank you, Kenneth. We did mention Mr. Stephen. Yes. Guys, I know you're grateful, but one of the things we tend to do is this. Mr. Strickland is here. I'm going to give him his time back, but I've got to say this. 2 more minutes, I'll say this. In this country, I spoke to you earlier about earlier in the week. I think today's Wednesday, so it would have been late last week, about what I call a Jezebelic a type of governance and structure in this country, where those that speak out, and I'm going to call them prophets, in the same way how Bob Marley is called a prophet. These are people who speak truth to power, who are courageous, and they stand up and they sacrifice themselves and speak out. So I call them prophets. All these names and more that you're mentioning, some of them you're mentioning, Felicia DeJohn, and all of them that you're mentioning. The powers that be in this country, what they do is this. Because the powers that be, it's Jezebelic. It's like a Jezebel power that is ruling, where, guess what? They cut off, they strangle the life out of the prophets. Meaning that people like, you saw what happened to like a Crystal Haynes. Did I honor her? Crystal Haynes. Former Senator Crystal Haynes. Cut off your power supply. They shut up the prophets. Bob Marley said, why they kill our prophets? And we stand aside and look. You're either shut down one way or the other. That's what happens in this Jezebelic power structure here in Barbados. So that's why I say honor these people. Honor them in your parties. I see a lot of you putting up a lot of the people from the DLP. Honor them. Those of you from the DLP, send a message, an honor from your political party. Use this as a time to honor those who serve among you. Yes, Trisha Watson, for her working with the Barbados Light and Power on behalf of the people of Barbados. Send a word of encouragement. Yeah? Yes. All right. So that's enough of that for tonight. Before I start to get really start to cry, and I didn't mention our family, but I just want to say, and I'm sure Dave saw all his name in the comments, and we want to honor Dave Weekes, for the sacrifice, and thank you for all of those who say thank you to me. It encourages me, and every time I get into this chair, I hear your voice, and I feel your hugs, and I feel your prayers. I feel your prayers. Okay. Thank you. I love you and you love me too. All right. Mr. Stephen Strickland, I took your time and you're getting it back, sir. At some point, you're going to get it back, whether at the end or no. So I'm going to move out of your way, sir, and let you make your presentation. But I know you want to say a few words. I'm going to let you do that on behalf of Alvin Toppin, who was your family member.
Okay, good night, Marcia, the loyal opposition. On returning home today from praying fast, I would have heard that Alvin had passed away. Even though I would have heard that he had had a stroke and he was ill, honestly, I saw recovery. I felt recovery. So when I heard that he passed away, it really hit me hard because Alvin was my cousin. His that would be his great-grandfather and my great-grandfather were two brothers. So that it wasn't just a case of some person seeking to represent St. Lucie. This was, as people would say, flesh and blood. I never really knew him because he would have grown up in St. Peter. His father was Alan Toppin. But when I heard, that where he originated, and I sought to investigate to find out that he was my cousin. The first time I met him, it was really a shock because in January of this year, when there was the Ideas Forum at the Darrell Jordan Secondary School, he was present. And I said, this man is bull because here was a meeting of, to a large extent, BLP faithfuls. Here was a young man willing to attend. He did not speak. I can't remember him speaking that night, but when we had the motorcade in St. Lucie with the water situation, he was one of the leading persons in respect of the distribution of water. Even before the motorcade, there was another occasion where he was spearheaded the distribution of water. But then when we had our town hall meeting at the St. Lucie Parish Church, he attended. He was very much involved with what is happening at this Allendale pumping station. And he did attend the town hall meeting and he spoke on behalf of the residents of St. Lucie, so that his loss is not just a loss to us as a family, but I believe it's a loss for us in St. Lucie. Even though he was not a sitting member of parliament, he represented the people of St. Lucie in different areas, so that to his immediate family, I would want to offer, my condolences. His dad has passed, but his mom is still alive. And therefore, I would want to join with you and all of the others, not only recognizing him, but all those names that were mentioned previously, because we are the one that God has called for such a time as this to speak for our nation, Barbados. Okay, so I want to thank all for your condolences. Tonight, I'm going to be dealing with national insurance and back again, dealing with national insurance. And Marcia, I really want to thank you for these opportunities to share. Only last night, I spoke for the Youth Entrepreneur Scheme, the YES program. The present cohort, I spoke for 3 hours, 3 hours from 5 till 8 last night. So it's something that I am very much used to, and I am always grateful to share on national insurance. Tonight, I want to share in respect of pensions. I would have dealt with basically all of the other benefits, but I wanted to speak tonight on pensions. And the theme at national insurance is more than a contribution, it's your lifeline. And I know that there are those who are listening might say that it's not a lifeline for them, because when they are at their most vulnerable state, very often, sometimes the benefits do not come to them in a timely manner. And I'm not making an excuse for national insurance, but it is one of the heaviest departments in Barbados, because it has a staff complement of about just over 300. So when you are collecting, the kind of millions every month, paying over 40,000 benefits, pensioners, managing a fund of 4 point something billion, and then collecting approximately 5,000 new claims every month, that's a tremendous responsibility. But national insurance has served its pensioners very faithfully through the years. Now, recently, you would have heard that national insurance is paying all pensions. That is not the correct truth. And I want to start by saying this, because there is the impression that for national insurance, for those persons, who are pensioners with the Treasury Department, their pension is paid out from national insurance, but everything is still done at the Treasury Department. National insurance only deals with the processing of the payment, as it were, either, well, not a check, because they're not paid by checks, lodgements to the bank account. So that I would want persons to know that once you are a pensioner with the Treasury Department, it's your responsibility to apply for your pension at the National Insurance Department no more than 6 months before. So approximately, say, 4 months before, it's your responsibility to apply to national insurance for your pension, because there's the impression that because all are being paid by national insurance, is an automatic conversion from the Treasury to national insurance. Is further from the truth. So many individuals on reaching 67, when the Treasury will stop your pension, your pension will be stopped at age 67, then those persons now have to come to apply at national insurance, which is going to take about maybe 3 months before they can get their first payment, so that they're without an income for those 3 months or more in some cases. So that national insurance is separate and distinct from the Treasury when it comes to pensions for public workers across the whole of the public service. Now, when it comes to national insurance pensions, then it means that in order to qualify for any form of a national insurance pension, contributory pension, we'll start with contributory pension, it means that you might have had to have worked at least for 1 year. 1 year to receive an old age pension grant. 1 year, 50 contributions, 52 weeks in a year, but 50 contributions to receive a grant. That grant is a one-off payment, and therefore, if you do not qualify, if those are all the contributions you have between age 16 and 67 at present, it means that you will get a grant. You must have at least 150 contributions, but a combination of 150 contributions and credits, totaling 500 to receive a national insurance old age contributory pension. And you would want to ask, what are the credits about? Now, once a person receives a benefit, sickness, unemployment, injury, maternity, those types of benefits, Monday to Saturday, you are given a credit, which means that if the average weekly salary for the calculation of that benefit, that sickness benefit is say $400, you are given a credit. So credits are added to contributions. So there's a myth out there that if you take a lot of sick leave, it will reduce your pension. That is not true, because once you receive sickness benefit or those other benefits and you are given credits, it's added to the contributions that you would have made, and therefore your pension is calculated then on a combination of credits, contributions, and credits. But as I said, if you have less than 500 at present, because the whole thing has changed. Sorry, no, we are at 530 now, 560. Sorry, because the legislation changed last year, from the beginning of this year, and therefore from 2025, you have to have 560 contributions and credits to qualify for a pension. It is moved from 500, and it will be changing again in 2026 to 590, in 2027 620, in 2028 650, 2029 680, 2030 710, 2031 750, and it will continue from there on at 750 contributions. So in other words, rather than qualifying for a pension having at least about 10 years contributions, you need 15 years contributions to qualify for a pension at 2031. And personally, I do not have a problem with that, because when a person only has 10 years contributions and that person receives a pension at age 67, and the person lives to say age 90, they would have withdrawn tremendously more than they ever put in. And because we have a falling birth rate and an aging population, it means that there will be serious challenges on the scheme. So to have paid contributions only for 15 years between age 16 and 67 or 68 eventually, I think is relatively reasonable. And that's my personal opinion. Now, so once you have reached age 61, because again, we have changed the early pension.
Mr. Strickland, someone is asking if you can just repeat what you just said there.
Okay, no problem.
Yes, just slow it down. Thank you.
Okay.
A little bit.
Okay, all right. Now, so that we were at 500 contributions in 2020, in 2023. From 2024, you need 530, 2025, 560. And this is the last slide that I would have, this last set of information that I would have sent to you, Marcia. The figures are on that one. So that in 2026, 590, 2027, 620, 2028, 650, 2029, 680, 2030, 710, 2031, 750. And it should remain at 750 unless the political directorate at that time or any other time chooses to change the number of contributions necessary for a person to qualify for a national insurance old age contributory pension. Now, while I'm speaking on that matter, we have a reciprocal agreement between Canada, Quebec, United Kingdom, and CARICOM, so that you have individuals like a number of the I don't want to say non-nationalists, those who would have worked in Guyana, Jamaica, in Canada, picking fruits and so forth in the past, and so forth, those Barbadians who would have lived in England and returned home. If the person worked in Barbados for less than the number of contributions that I just quoted, but they worked in one of those jurisdictions, then they would indicate their social security number in the country that they also work in. National insurance would obtain the number of contributions that they would have had in those countries. And therefore, when the two are added, once they meet the requirement for Barbados, National Insurance Barbados will pay the pension based on the contributions that they would have had in Barbados, and therefore they would also receive a pension from the other country that they would have had contributions in also. So while, as I would have indicated, that you need at least 560 at this present moment, they might not have 560 in Barbados, but they might have had some in one of those other countries, that being Canada, Quebec, United Kingdom, not United States, United Kingdom, England, and CARICOM. And that's for the purpose of an old age pension. For the other benefits, there is no reciprocal agreement with sickness and those other benefits. Only old age contributory pension. So that a person then receiving, applying for your pension, you will submit your original birth certificate or valid passport. In the case of a woman who's married, birth certificate and a marriage certificate. If the person is divorced, birth certificate, marriage certificate, and decree absolute. As I said, now national insurance pensions can be paid either still in checks. They can be lodged to a commercial bank or a credit union. In that case, they would need to either submit the header of a bank statement, or they would need to take a direct deposit form or the application form to the bank or credit union to be stamped and initialed, so that when national insurance, they are confirming that the account number which was sent in is correct with the name, because there are those persons who attempt to have pensioners' pension sent to their own account, and it's not a joint account. So that if that, when it happened in the past, what the bank would do is to send the money back to national insurance. So at present, national will not send any monies to any bank account or credit union unless there is verification that the number given is that the person's name is on that bank account. As I said, they are paid in checks. There are those persons who say that nationals no longer pay in checks. The Postman of Barbados can verify that. But there has been a move through the years to have all pensioners, all pensions paid to a bank account. I personally will fight against that, because it opens the pensioners of Barbados to more elder abuse, financial elder abuse. And you can never imagine what I know is possible. So that, but also if you are, you can have your pension sent overseas. So if you're a resident overseas, you can have your pension sent overseas. It will be a case where you will need to provide the name of the bank, the address of the bank, your account number, your SWIFT code. Nationals will direct you how to what information which is necessary, but you can have your money sent by wire to your account overseas in any part of the world. Okay, now, so for old age contributory pensions, as I said, okay, let me go over to invalidity. There are those persons who are in receipt of an invalidity pension. When they reach pensionable age, they do not have to apply for an old age contributory pension. The pension will automatically convert from invalidity to old age contributory pension. The same amount. Okay. Now, but what would happen is that on their 67th birthday, the invalidity will stop. And in that pay period, you may receive less than what you were receiving, because it's transitioning from invalidity to old age contributory. But what you did not get within one pension period will be added to the next pension period. So it's just a matter of weeks that your income for your pension may be reduced at that present moment, but it will continue from there on at the same rate for until death. Okay, so that's the old age contributory pension. Now, there are persons who the legislation permits for persons to apply for, I must say apply for, not qualify in the first case. Any person can apply for an old age, early old age pension. Previous, the age was 60. That age has no change. And you can go back to the the last slide that I would have sent you were looking at just now, and I'm going to be giving you the early pension dates, so that in 2025 you can only qualify if you do qualify for early pension at age 61. So it'll be 61 for 2025, 2026, and 2027. In 2028, it will be going to age 62 and remain at 62 for 2028, 29, and 30. In 31, it will go to 63, and it will remain at 63 until another decision is made, if another decision will be made. So at present, the earliest that you can apply for a pension for early pension is at age 61. The reason why I said you can apply if the reduced pension, because while the reduced pension was at 6% per year, the early pension date has not only gone up from 60 to 61, but the percentage loss has also gone up. So that for 2025, your reduction is now 8%. So last year it was 7%. This year it is 8%. And in 2026, it will be going to 99%, and it will remain there. So that when you apply for your early pension and the amount that you qualify to receive is less than $254 per week, then you cannot get early pension. So that I remember I went back to work from retirement in 2020, and there were a number of individuals who would have been laid off at 60 plus, who were having difficulty receiving another job. A number of them sought to apply or to call in to find out if they would qualify for an early pension, expecting that they would be told yes, to find out that based on the contributions that they had, the amount that they would have qualified for was less than the minimum contributory pension. And so because the minimum contributory pension is $254 at this present moment, and normally the minimum pension goes up every January, so it makes it increasingly more difficult for persons to qualify for an early pension. And I'm certain that there are those who are listening right now who are very, very, very annoyed because they moved from 65 to 67, and now they've moved from 67 to 68. So that the pensionable age, as I said, has moved also. And I'm going to give you that at present, the pensionable age is 67. In 2028, pensionable age will be 67 and a half. And then it will change again in 2034 to 68. So I am not the bearer of good news tonight for a number of individuals, but that is the reality of the changes. So that I know that the PowerPoint is a bit fine, but I would hope that persons and it's not on the National Insurance website. I was able to obtain these from the marketing officer so that I can have it presented here. But there are those changes that were made. I think it was from last year, and they took effect from the 1st of January 2024. So that is the early national insurance pension, and I would have just dealt with the pension at age 67 at present. As I said, it's not changing again until 2028 to 67 and 6 months. 67 and 6 months, and then in 2034 it'll be going to 68, and it should there remain. Marcia, I would have said to many individuals prior to this government that national pension will never move from 65. The decision that was taken to write off $1.3 billion of the National Insurance Fund, that pushed the National Insurance Scheme in the state that it's in. Yes, we always had a falling birth rate and a Asian population, but that decision, not only that decision, in 2018, and I'm going to be blunt and straight, in 2018, when the 2018 during campaigning, the promise that was made to non-contributory pensioners, the kind of raise that they were offered, it was obvious that contributory pensioners would have to get a similar increase. So because of the increase that was given in 2018, and I'm glad for the pensioners, but also when nationals they wrote off $1.3 billion of national insurance fund and so forth, then it meant that in order to sustain the national insurance department, these changes had to be done. In 2006, there was pension reform, and all things was on track to make sure that national pensions never had to be affected, had to be adjusted. But in 2022, when the actual report came out, based on what was done, it meant that these adjustments had to be made. This is not a partisan political statement. It's a reality. Okay, it's a reality. And unless the present board, because the board is constituted along ILO standards, which means that the board is responsible for these things. Prior to the 1st of December 2023, when national insurance was, the board did not have total control of the national insurance department. Now the board has total control of the national insurance department. And therefore, basically, they're free to do as they please with the funds, even though both trade unions sit on the board and should be the persons in the vanguard in defending, especially the pensions of Barbados. And we would pray that this does not happen. Now, that being the case in respect of the contributory pensioners, I'm going to go to the non-contributory pensioners.
Now, I'm going to I talk big about giving you time. So I can literally only give you another 5 minutes. But as you know, we're gonna come back and finish up, right? So if you hang on at the end there, and plus we will come back another time, all right?
Okay.
But
I'm going to give you the non-contributory pension quickly in 5 minutes.
Yes,
5 minutes, I can give you a lot of the, okay. Now, so that non-contributory pension is not an automatic right as a Barbadian citizen. It's not an automatic right, because once you were gainfully employed and chose not to pay contributions as a self-employed person, all applications for non-contributory pension, there is an interview process. And therefore, if you have been gainfully employed and you did not pay national insurance contributions, initially the department will disallow, will not approve your claim. It will be sent to the board, and 99% of the time it will come back from the board, your claim being disallowed. That's the first thing. Now, second, all citizens of Barbados and permanent residents can apply to national insurance for a non-contributory pension. If you're in receipt of a pension from another source, those persons who are returning nationals and are persons who would not have worked in Barbados up to age 40, and it's there in the legislation, then it means that if those persons are in receipt of a pension from another country, they cannot receive non-contributory pension. And this was the case, so you can get a contributory and non-contributory. So if you don't qualify for the contributory, you can apply for the non-contributory. But if you are in receipt of a pension from another source, then you cannot receive a non-contributory pension. And so on your application, if you say that you're gonna have to bring your passport and all canceled passports, which means that if you say you're not receiving a pension from another country, nationals will still rate that country to find out if you are entitled to a pension, and therefore you will not receive a pension if you are in receipt or if you are entitled to one. Okay. Now, for non-contributory pensions, as I said, is for permanent and for citizens and permanent residents. Okay.
Yeah.
The non-contributory pension at present is $230 per week, and you can apply for your non-contributory pension again no more than 6 months before. Ideally, 4 months before, so that you would have had your interview done and you would have a good idea of whether you will qualify or not. Okay, so that's the non-contributory pension in a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
There's still some other information that I will seek to share in the question session at the end. And for all the other questions that persons would want, that would have posed in the chat, I'm certain that you would list them so that I'll be able to address them as quickly as possible.
Yes, sir. Well, again, I always heard about the 67, but I didn't realize in 2035 it's now 68. And I didn't realize it's 67 and a half. So I learned something tonight. And I'm sure Mr. Franklin was saying it, but it didn't stick until I saw it there. Sometimes it has to be repeated. You did a fantastic job, I tell you. And I'm hoping people took the screenshots. Please hang around, Mr. Strickland, as usual. And by God's willing, you know what? He will continue next week because we don't want to rush it. He'll continue it next week. Review and then continue. So thank you. Very educational. That's what we do on the Marcia Weekes Show. Thank you so much, Mr. Strickland. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank
I
you
just
very
have
much.
you wait
Okay.
in the green room. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Okay, thanks.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, wasn't that really educational? Oh boy, I tell you, really excellent. Well, folks, we have with us tonight the announcer, and I want to play his song. I know a lot of you, we only put up this song, I don't think it's a 2 full days yet. And the song is, I think at this stage, either near 4,000 views or about 4,000 views. That is just amazing, right? And I know we're a little late. We said 8 o'clock. It's now 8:08. I'm going to see if Dave could go ahead and play the song for us on the show, the National Carol Festival. And get ready with your questions to the announcer. Get ready to know him a little better, because he is one of those that we need to give flowers to tonight. We're going to give him flowers tonight. All right? All righty. Go right ahead, Mr. Weekes.
Who says you can't put a woman to do a man's job? Was a promo for a radio show. I remember kitchen and pan in a minor was the event on which it was said. But over the course of time and history, brilliant performance unveiled the mystery of Carol Robertson, style and grace and flair. When she left, I went to the NCF, and it's happy crop over, no, happy Carol over. It's the National Carol Festival, the Carol Festival. Semi-finals gone, 2 songs in competition, I can't even change this one. Carol Festival. Jump from the stadium, turn left at Cumbermere, gone. And the people in Station Hill can't even make a little berry in the Carol Festival. But think it not strange, Carol loves to innovate and change. NCF, Carol, NCF, Foundation. Oh, Carol, I am not a fool. She hit the ground running, eager beaver, ever ready. Classic with the crown, spotting the light on she. Innovation, 1 song, and more money. Imagine Carol in charge previously. Mr. Hardy, no sugar made us free. Would be the dilemma facing our people. Gabby, Jack, Calypso, Kumba, love you, all me want to know. 1 song to sing, I don't Niger would have been king. And it's happy come over, no, Happy Carol over. Yeah. It's the National Carol Festival. The Carol Festival. Cohabla are gone. Gone. The kings and the queens gone. Gone. It's a soca orgy of pet after pet after pet after pet. It's the Carol Festival. Party monarch gone. Gone. Soca monarch gone. Gone. No proper platform for future soca stars in the Carol Festival. But thinking not straight. Soca 5.0 is change. People with inquiring mind ask me why I'm wasting time on Carol, the cultural diva Carol. Nothing on cost of living, whole town history vanishing, but it's Carol. No murder and crime, just Carol. The PM flights, 93, over 1 million in travel fee, but it's Carol. No Africs in bank, just Carol. But if Carol knows so much about Calypso, how come she never write a Calypso? A witty ditty with a melody so pretty, hitting the melody with a mighty Calypso. Carol, foundation. Seminar, webinar, workshop, residency. Jackie Open with Dr. Stefan, Arsenal fan. Freedom Park, season of emancipation. Amphitheater for Marcus Garvey, the great man. Work worthy of appreciation. I applaud, I praise, I commend. A Carol played, she dissing the calypsonian. How many churchy nights did Carol even attend? It's Happy Carol over. No, Happy Carol over. Yeah. It's the National Carol Festival. The Carol Festival. Cultural village gone. Gone. The feast at the plantation. Gone. And it's just Panty and Bra in Kaluman and Corn Star. Gospel concert gone. Gone. Pan on the sand gone. Gone. It's botanical, not the oval, for the final in the Carol Festival. But thinking not straight. Only the hairstyle don't change. NCR, Carol, foundation. Hello, Carol, I'm depending on you.
My goodness, I am laughing. This is so hilarious, and it's in the style of the one and only the announcer, and he's coming into the studio right now. Guys, are you sharing? Are you liking? I know you're here laughing your heads off, but have you shared yet? And have you liked? And here we have welcome to the Marcia Weekes Show for the first time, the announcer in his signature felt hat. What I don't know what you call that. Welcome, sir, to the Marcia Weekes Show.
Well, Marcia, it's a blessing, it's a privilege, and it's an honor to be here. And I'm here today with a very heavy heart because of the death of Alvin Toppin. I was in the hospital last evening. I may have been the last visitor to see him because I left there about 6:15 in the evening. Mm-hmm. And I sat there for 45 minutes while he was laying there. And, apparently earlier in the day he was speaking and so on. But when I went to see him, that wasn't the case. And that's the first time I'd seen him. And his eyes opened from time to time. And he caught my eyes twice. And he recognized me there. He couldn't talk at that point. And he gently raised his right hand off the bed in a fist. And I gave him a fist bump. It happened twice in 45 minutes. And I was just sitting there because as my brother there, and I just had to be present for as long as I could. And ultimately, I went back to the studio, and I said before I left, I said, look, all of us at Starcom love you, Alvin. And we're praying, hoping that we can walk together through your recovery. And I left at that point, and it was the longest walk I've ever had to Starcom Network. I had to be back on the air for Mason and Guest and produce, but my heart was heavy as I walked. And I believe God is able to do anything He desires to do. But to hear this morning, having seen him the night before, that was devastating. It was a very hard day for all of us who knew Alvin, and it's going to be hard for a long time to come. And I can't take up the program with all the things that we've done together. Him and Rupert were very close because Alvin and Rupert toured the world together,
That's
pushing
your brother,
Barbados.
your brother Rupert.
Yeah, that's right, pushing soca music.
Rupee. Let's say
Rupee,
yeah.
And they were classmates at Harrison College as well. And it's just it's a big loss. It's a big loss for the media family, and it's a big personal loss for me. We did many things, and maybe another time when you do a tribute to media, we can talk about
Yes.
that. But that I'm here, and I'm sure that Alvin would want me to be here today and continue, because he was a big supporter of Pickety Crop, Calypso music, and social commentary. So I'm sure that I'm here with his blessing at this point in time. Rough.
Yes.
Rough.
And when I tonight, you said something that while he was there on the bed, after 6 yesterday evening, Mr. Toppin, he lifted a fist, he raised a fist to you.
Yeah, because his left side, he couldn't move his left side. So I just sat there looking at him, hoping that I would catch his gaze. And there were gazes where he was distant, but he caught my eyes twice in that period, and he raised his hand each time, just slightly off the bed, the right hand, put it in a fist, and I just
he
knocked
gave you a fist bump. He was giving you a fist bump.
And I reflected on it today. It was very touching, because it was after 6 o'clock when I left. I know visiting hours close around 8 o'clock. I don't know if someone came after or if they didn't, but in that particular state, condition, it was very touching, and I'm glad that I got the opportunity to see him. But it does break a piece of my heart that he did die after that. It's just hard to take. I mean, we lost John Doe, we lost Dennis Johnson in 2021, and this one hurts. It really does.
This one, yes, and that yes, we definitely. He was a guest here on this show. We gave some. That's why we were late with your segment, because we did take some time to honor him. And one of the things we said, the announcer, because you're here as the announcer. That's your name here on this show tonight.
I am here as a calypsonian, the announcer.
As a calypsonian, the announcer.
That's
and
right.
I want to say that the announcer, you have one of the things we've been doing on the show tonight is giving people their flowers, because a lot of us, we saw hard Mr. Toppin worked for the people in St. Lucie concerning the brown water. That's how I knew him. Because this is a show, an advocacy show. We agitate on here, and he was on the show agitating on behalf of the people of St. Lucie. And we now recognize, we're now saying it. A lot of us thought it and we didn't actually say it. But tonight, I want to give you your flowers on the announcer. That's what I want to do, because one of the things I want people to know, this man that you see on the screen here, you see all of this music that he puts out. But I want to tell you what I know of him off of the stage is that this is somebody who is, he's the real deal. What you see is what you get of the announcer. All right. I want to say that I've known him since I came to Barbados. And this is the same man. He sticks with you, very committed to a cause, and he's somebody who is not afraid to speak truth to power. And I reminded you all earlier of the book that I've written called When We Lose Our Fear, They Lose Their Power. And I've seen this man over the past, I would say, 25 years. Ronnie, the announcer, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 21 years? 21 years. Through Calypso, the announcer, through Calypso, presented us with songs like TC, Unwelcome, Unwelcome was when he was in the experience tent and he was talking about how unwelcome Christians felt in the festival. And I tell you, he was hard hitting from the time he came out. Even in the experience tent, some of the tent managers were worried about some of his lyrics. This man was just, he just says it. He just says it. Pastor Offering, he was fighting against the prosperity gospel where people were taking pastors were collecting too much money from the flock and tricking people. He gave us Pastor Offering. Pastors were mad. I remember a pastor called me crying about the song, how Ronnie's singing about the announcer. Oh boy, the announcer singing about him. I really cannot call it. I must call him the announcer on the show. The announcer singing about him. Pastors were mad with this man, completely beyond comprehension. The bell, wrong decision, biggest loser, silent cry. Everybody loves Chris. Calypso bully, Botsy theology. Who remember Botsy theology? Oh my God, that created so much problems in Barbados. Botsy theology, he was singing. He was singing about the LGBTQ plus community, and he called it Botsy theology. Even the people in the tent thought that they don't want to hear that song. This man was. Then he had Rabba Baba Shaba. Then he had Vote, Reading for Pleasure. Oh Lord! Now that one was so cleverly written. I'm sure he'd give us a story about that one. Then there was Free at Last. Then he wrote the one about PMs. We played it on here. And now we have National Carol Festival. He was in Experience Tent from 2004, 2005. And then he went to the All Stars from 2016 to 2019. And then from 2023 till now, he's in the Carter's Shining Stars. And they are first to judge. And I think the judging date is next, is a Sunday or Saturday. He's going to tell you. But I wanted to spend the time to read all of that because some people are seeing this song and they might think it is the first. But I wanted to really play a little of this day. Play a little of this. Can't play it. But listen, folks, this is the announcer. So officially, we're welcoming you again, sir. We started out talking about Mr. Toppin, but let's start to talk about your career, your calling as a calypsonian, because I believe it's a calling. Do you see it as a calling, the announcer?
Well, I certainly do, and I did when I entered with the Experience Tent in 2004. But my entertainment background goes back to the 70s, dancing in youth clubs around the age of 6 with my big brother Joe, who really put me and Rupert on stage and before crowds. My first live.
Hold a minute before you talk. So I've always thought it was just yourself and Rupert and Rupee.
No.
Rupee,
No.
Tempted to Touch. Everybody know Tempted to Touch? That is Ronnie's brother. So you are saying that you have there's three of you, three brothers?
Big brother Joe Louis Heimbeck, got my mum's maiden name. Joe Louis Clark for many years. I didn't even know that me and Joe didn't have the same father until he was 12. And Joe put me and Rupert on stage. He decided which music we were allowed to listen to. He was in an Elvis Presley phase, and then he went to a Michael Jackson phase. So we were all into Michael Jackson. We weren't allowed to listen to the Bee Gees or ABBA because they weren't funky enough. And then rock and roll was okay. And I first took the mic up in 1981. I sang a song called You Drive Me Crazy by Shakin' Stevens. And then we were into a rap and break dance phase.
What age were you? You said 1981.
I was 10 years old. 10 years
old when you sang your first full song on stage.
That's right, 10 years old. And then break dancing around 1983. We started rapping in 1983. Our first live gig was December 31st, 1983 at a place called the Flexi in Recklinghausen in Germany. We were guest appearing with a band called the Fruity Chips. Joe was 16 I was 12 and Rupert was 8. And we were at an old year's night party. And let me tell you, this club was a real club in terms of, you know, people were doing drugs. They had fireworks, like firecrackers inside the studio. I remember inside the venue. I remember we were backstage, and the guys were saying, "Kids, don't do drugs, don't do drugs." But they were smoking hash while we were backstage, and when we were on stage, people were throwing firecrackers at midnight. So we had a pretty interesting introduction. But then we did places like Middlesbrough, Stockton, in Germany when we went to visit our mum. And then I came to Barbados with Rupert in 1985, and we were the first act.
So all of this was in Europe. So where were you actually born?
I was born in Germany. I was born in Osnabrück. Rupert was born in Munster. Joe was born in Munster. We have a big sister as well, Mona Candil. She lives in Dusseldorf now. And I have a brother that I've never met yet, but he lives in England.
Oh, wow.
And he should be approximately 43 years of age right now. So I'm praying that we can meet while we still have the
so you
chance
came
to meet.
so I'm hoping it's always good to have those kind of reunions and meeting a relative for the first time. But you came to Barbados at what age?
On Saturday, February the 23rd, approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, on a British Airways flight. It was one day after my 14th birthday. And Rupert and I didn't go to school until September. So we had 7 months summer vacation. In that time, I hooked up with all of my cousins and friends that came over to Barbados because our fathers were in the British Army. And at that time, the Barbados Defense Force was recruiting many of the Barbadians who had done their 18 or 22 years in the British Army to come back. So that would have been Mr. Hines, Mr. Coward, Mr. Dottin, my godfather, Major Louis Bell, and a host of others. We all came back. Some of us lived in the same places in Germany and England. So remember Gabby sang a song called Boots in 1983 when he was singing about the Defense Force. So Brigadier Rudyard Lewis was in charge of the Defense Force at that time. So Rupert and I spent a lot of time at St. Anne's Fort, being quiet in the corner of a room or playing drafts and checkers and chess in the sergeant's mess. But ultimately, in July of that year, July 19th, it was a Friday, the first ever national youth concert by the National Cultural Foundation. They had a rapping competition, and me and Andy entered as the Electro Funk Masters.
Admiral was the Andy. Who's Andy? What do you?
Andy Hines. That's Andy Hines, my cousin and closest friend. And we've been close since 1982, when he first moved into where I lived, and he was roller skating, him and his brother Dave. And I was a big footballer. I was the captain of the school team and played for the youth teams in that area. And I went to him. I said, "Hey, my name's Nobby. I'm the captain of the football team." And he looked at me like, "Who is this idiot? I don't care. I don't know him." But then I found out that his parents came from Barbados. I said, "You got to be kidding." "Well, my dad's from Barbados." And then we were back and forth between the houses, and we established that bond. And we shared a great aunt as well. So we touched the stage, and there was no competition after. The Admiral, the DJ, Anthony Aloha, the DJ. And that's how our career started in Barbados. And we just rapped everywhere, every venue you could think of. For many years, and then I did a solo track on TV about drugs, drugging is bugging to LL Cool J.
I think I've seen that. And were you in? Did you rap in a like almost in this metallic or silver outfit?
That drugging is bugging was 1987. That metallic outfit was Get Up, Get Busy with John King from the album Jegna. It was filmed at the Crane, and when Nina Clark was in charge of that production from Remac, and I think she was managing John at the time. So I kept asking, "Well, where's my outfit?" I said, "Well, we haven't gone for it yet." I said, "What do you mean we haven't gone for it yet?"
How old you were at that time?
Oh, that was 1996. I was 25. I may have looked like 18, but I was 25.
You're 25.
So this chap from Trinidad and Tobago, a very colorful chap, we went to Big B supermarket. I said, "What are we doing here?" He says, "I'm getting your outfit." So we go to the aisle where all the tin foil is. I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, this is your outfit." So he buys about 20 boxes of tin foil, basically all the tin foil that they had left. And we go to the crane. I said, "What's going on?" He says, "All right, just stick out your arms, stick out your legs." And they covered me in tin foil. I had shades. They covered that in tin foil. And there were two kids there from overseas on vacation. And one of them had a Batman shirt. And he says, "You look stupid," right? He's about 7 years old. I said, "Why am I stupid?" He says, "Because you're wearing tinfoil as an outfit." I said, "Hey, you like Batman?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "Well, Batman's stupid." He says, "What do you mean?" I says, "He wears his underpants outside of his trousers." And he cried and he ran out. But when we were doing the video, he was swimming. I was sitting on this pillar. They have a pillar there at the crane, iconic. And he jumped in the water and he was trying to swim around where we were doing the video. But I was hoping I didn't fall because my legs were actually wrapped together in foil like a mermaid. So if I fell, I had no way to, float. I would have gone down pretty quickly. So
that's how you got that tinfoil outfit. Now, what you started singing? So you did rap, right?
yeah, and I also what I did, I started to rap on reggae rhythms and dancehall rhythms. Shinehead did that originally, but then he switched to R&B rhythms. So when they had concerts with people like Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaacs, Aswad, I would open the concerts for them. Songs like History of Reggae Music, Love, Respect, and Protect the Woman. I was always doing commentary, but I could represent myself if there was a battle. So
Yeah.
I was known for writing very long rhymes, like, gospels 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you came to battle me, you had to have material. And I could also make it up on the spot. Once you get in the zone, freestyle is all right.
'Cause I've seen you doing Pekong, so that's how
Yeah.
you transitioned over into social commentary, into Calypso.
Yes, because now me and you, we met prior to Walk Holy, which is 2001.
Yes.
So I was part of the original Walk Holy band for about 2 or 3 years.
Yes.
And I remember seeing uh, an article in the Sunday Sun that spoke about discrimination. And I think it was a forum looking at AIDS and stigma. And there were comments attributed to the now Prime Minister, but she wasn't Prime Minister then, which spoke about discrimination. And I felt troubled by the article and how stigma was being placed. I think that people are being sincere in raising their thoughts and fears and doubts. It doesn't always mean that it's accurate or balanced.
And well, let's be clear. They were talking about at that time it was people who contracted HIV, AIDS.
Yes,
Okay.
stigma and discrimination, and obviously that was after I discovered that my mum was HIV positive and had full blown AIDS, and my dad, and he died in October 1996, and she died January 2nd, 1999. I was in church at Apostolic Teaching Center, and Rupert came to the door of the church at Combermere School. So I anticipated there was something wrong there, because in 1994, I took Ronnie Jr., who celebrated his 32nd birthday yesterday, along with Rafi.
Goodness.
Rafi is 9 years younger.
Oh my.
I took Ronnie when he was 1. I wasn't cognizant of the fact that my mum was HIV positive. And me and my brother Joe, we had some terse exchanges while we were by him. And Mum sent Rupert to go to the Schnelly. Schnelly's a snackette, to get some chicken and chips. And then, when Rupert had left, Joe said to me, Nobby, chill out. You know, look, we got something to tell you. My mum told me she was HIV positive.
And you were the baby of the family. Oh
No,
no,
Rupert was.
Rupert,
Rupert.
but you did
So
not know. You didn't know.
no, so she told me, and you know, I couldn't speak. And she said, I don't want you to tell anyone. At that time, my girlfriend who became my wife, she said, don't tell her. Don't tell anybody. You know, if you want to talk to your father about it, you can. I will tell Rupert, and I will tell the others in my own time. So I had to keep that a secret for 2 years. And I did confront my father, and I said, Dad, you know, that time he was in Paynes Bay, and I had moved back in with him at that time because there was a temporary separation. And I said, look, I know that you're HIV positive. I know that Mum's HIV positive. Ronnie's still going to come up on the weekend. You can still drive him. You can still take him to the beach. You know, he can still lie down next to you. But you know, if you get a cut, you just have to take the necessary steps. And there was a time when my mother came to look for us, and we were in Paynes Bay then, and Rupert was driving. This was the year after he'd won the Teen Talent competition, and he had a Daihatsu Charmin because he sold the Swift that he won in '93. And my father was in the front seat. I was in the back seat. My mum was in the back seat, and Rupert was driving. And Rupert didn't know all this time. When my dad died, because it was a Saturday morning in October, and I was on VOB then, and I was doing the Saturday morning show. I remember what I had on. I had a black Adidas t-shirt. I had on a pair of blue Levi silver tabs, and I had on a pair of Adidas Superstars, but blue felt with gray. I wasn't driving at the time because I left the company, Hanchelinist, which had a company car at 20 years of age. And I got a call from Rupert. Rupert said, he said, Nobs, Dad slipped off the chair and he's not moving on one side. So I left what was Really Fusion at that time, and I got a van, a Spice Town van, because we were in Chapel Gap. They were in Chapel Gap. I was married by that time. And I got there and I saw that he was not moving, and all the things that come with not moving, that happen with your body. And so we called the ambulance. The ambulance came in, they put on their gloves. They put him in the back. We went to the hospital. He got on the ward. First day we looked for him, you know, he couldn't move on his left side, but he was alert, a very proud man. He didn't want help being fed. Then the next day he looked very unwell. Then he went for x-rays and he looked worse. We were able to speak to him long enough to say, well, when you come out, you're going to live with us. And I believe in my heart, my dad didn't want to be with us in that way. He didn't see himself as wanting to be a burden. I really feel that in my heart. And when we left, we anticipated a call, and we got a call. We got a call in the morning. And by the time we got to the hospital, condolences were already being sent over the radio.
Wow.
And I remember going into the ward, and my dad was zipped up in a bag. They had his head and chest exposed, but there was a tag on the bag which said toxic. I kissed him on his forehead, you know, that's my dad. And the gentleman who was in the bed opposite my dad, he said, "Who's Rupert?" You know, Rupert, by that time, he'd had Thunder and Ice Cream had just come out the previous summer.
He had big songs.
Yeah, well, he was starting to have hit songs. And he said, "Who's Rupert?" And Rupert said me. And the guy said, because my dad at that time, his mouth was shut together. His feet, he was clenched. He said he was calling for you. He said he was calling for you, you know? And so my mum came down for the funeral. And then that time we were living in
So my
Chancery
question
Lane.
is, why did they announce it on the radio before you guys?
Well, they mean well. Somebody in the hospital most probably called PG and said, listen, Ronnie's dad just died. And
I understand, yeah.
so
Okay.
I didn't take that in any way.
Yeah.
My mum came for the funeral. We were living in Carter's Gap. She sat everybody down in the living room. And then she told Donna, because I was married at the time to Donna, and she told Rupert, and our kids were young. Ronnie wasn't that old; he was 3. Naomi wasn't here yet, so we only had one child. And Rupert was broken, and as Rupert, and then we got a call.
She told the Rupert at that time that he was HIV positive.
Yeah. And in 1998, we got a call. It was April 1998. I'd moved to CBC, and we got a call saying that you need to come. Your mum's dying. So I was given very gracefully by Wayne Callender, who was my program manager, and Melba Smith, who was the general manager. They said, go, take 2 weeks. If you need an extra week, take an extra week. So I went. Rupert came. David Hooper, the late David Hooper, gone but not forgotten. He said that I'll pay for the tickets. You guys go and see your mum. So we went. And she was in a place called Graven, which is near Munster. Krankenhaus, or Stationklinik 8, Station Clinic number 8. Krankenzimmer, krank means unwell, Zimmer is room, number 9, number 9.
Okay.
And it was a little room. I remember her head was shaved pretty low.
Oh, wow.
And she was very weak. And she said to me and Rupert, she said, they called you to come and see me die, but I'm not going to die with you here. Within about 7 days, she was well enough to go home. And Oberschlesierstraße number 7, it was an attic loft apartment, a small one, where my grandmother lived. My grandmother, who up until she was 90, used to go to town by herself and come back. And it was a very touching time to see mum come back. So I extended by a week. Rupert extended by a week. And the last day I ever saw her, I lay on the bed with her. I was sharing the gospel with her. She was a big Bob Dylan fan. And Bob Dylan, for those who don't know, became a Christian. And he had about 3 albums, and she listened to all his albums. So I know that the message I was sharing, she was already familiar with through his music. And then I left the room. I turned left through the main door, turned left again, turned left to go on the path which was parallel to her block. The glass to all of the rooms was frosted, so you could see a silhouette. And I saw her hands and face pressed against the window. And I watched her. I was there with my sister Mona. And I watched her until I couldn't see her anymore. That was the last time I saw my mum. Rupert stayed an extra week, and same with him. And Rupert was starting to gain. After that, Rupert gained a lot of success, and she was happy to see his initial success. I remember when we went with his first single, Thunder, which Edwin wrote and Coalition did and Nicholas Banker produced. Ronnie was only about, he was 1 year old, and he kept demanding, he was 2 years old, he kept demanding that we play the song. That time it was record player. We had to play this song about 20 times in a row before Ronnie Jr. was happy. So we went to that, and he had the success with Jump and all those hits, Blame It on the Music. And
she was able to get to hear some of that music.
No, just the first couple of songs. I'd Scream, right. and then he became an ambassador. I think through BET to speak on AIDS, because at first I was speaking about it, and Rupert was not at that place yet where he could share. But then he started to open up. He recognized, look, I've got a lot of reach. I got reach beyond Barbados. I got reach throughout the Caribbean. I got reach globally. I'm going back to Germany to perform. And Rupert, really magnificent, used his popularity and impact to, share all of the information necessary. Same thing with me. While I have a strong Christian perspective, being with my mum showed me everybody that was impacted, right? Gay, straight, white, black, Hispanic, Eastern European, the different ages. So when we came back to Barbados, I started doing the Christmas party at the Elroy Phillips Center for a few Christmases, me and Alicius Joseph Jr. And I saw some people there, met some people there, were children of people I knew, were siblings of people I knew, cousins, friends, workmates. So, you've never heard me make joke about HIV or AIDS.
Yeah.
And obviously I can't do it. So, that puts things in perspective as far as I am concerned, because when I wrote that song, Boxy Theology, I was very balanced about it.
Yes, you were. But before you even get to Boxy Theology, you saw that what you saw in the newspaper prompted you to write Unwelcome. Can you just tell us at least, or give us the first verse of Unwelcome?
No, that was Boxy Theology. Unwelcome was the Christian response, the response to Christians.
Right, but the Boxy, right? Yes, that is true. That is true. Thanks for your reminder on that. But would you say then that this experience? I mean, no wonder you're such a great storyteller, because you brought us there. You brought us in the hospital rooms, both occasions. The way you painted the pictures and all of that to us. What impact all of what you just shared with us? How does that translate or impact your writing, Calypsos?
Well, firstly, the Bible says, out of the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. That doesn't apply to Calypso only. That applies to everything. Mm-hmm. It applies to people who are known and unknown. It applies to people that you know and you don't know, you meet or you don't meet. And first of all, I got to look at facts. I got to look at truth. Some songs call for humor, some songs don't. Mm-hmm. Compromise is a word, but when it's applied by some in a way that isn't the best way, then we're going to have a problem. And I don't compromise in the true sense in my writing.
Okay.
Even though there have been occasions, even when people think from a lyrical viewpoint, I've been at my most dangerous or venomous without being libelous, I actually held back at those times because I felt that I said enough to get the point out there.
Right.
And that's with every song, So it was a fiery baptism, but because of all the experience I had and the respect that I had for my consistency as an entertainer in previous years, people didn't take me on. They didn't clash with me. They sought to understand what I was saying, and they would get an explanation from me if they wanted one.
Yeah. So with that, that boldness in your writing, that truth that comes out in the writing, no compromising stance at all when you're writing. I mean, you paid dearly for it. I mean, excellent story in your Calypso, but then the highest you've ever been, which was 2007, you were placed fourth. And after that, I think there was a running joke that Ronnie is going to be 10th. Was it 10th place that they would say that you're going to so you've got last position 2006 and 2012, even though you had, I mean, great songs.
Well,
why do you think that is?
You know about Pastor Offering in 2006, because even though I'd left Experience 10 Praise Academy of Dance were working with me in the presentation for Pastor Offering. I don't know if you remember, but at that time your son,
yes,
technically wasn't old enough to come backstage, even though you had indicated that as parents and guardians and being present,
yes,
he was part of the presentation and you would accompany him.
Yes, and I was there.
And what happened was, maybe about 30 minutes before I was going on stage as the first contestant, there was an exchange of words between me and the then CEO, Ian Estwick.
Yes.
It got very heated. and I was moving towards him. Eleanor Rice was the only other person in the dressing room, and she was saying, no, that's not going to happen in here tonight. That's not going to happen. Just stay focused. And ultimately, Danny was allowed backstage. And the commentator said it was the best first performance that they recall in the history of being at Piccadilly Crop.
Yes,
if you remember, the stadium was in an uproar.
Yes.
And then in the second song, Completely Beyond Comprehension, which sang about CBC putting Hawk and Admiral on the screen while I was performing TC, and, you know, the disrespect shown to me. And Dennis spoke about it on the radio, Dennis Johnson, and I used Dennis's response in the presentation, and you can see that on YouTube, everything. And then the drum kit collapsed, and I was singing the fastest song in the competition at 124 with 1 million lyrics per line. And there's about 15,000 people there. They can feel that something's wrong. I can feel that something's wrong. But I had to keep going. The drum kit came back. If you look at the video, you'll hear it around the middle of the bridge or the third verse. So when it finished, we spoke. You know, I said to Eleanor, because she heard it. And then when we decided we were going to ask for another performance, we were told, the judges said they'd heard enough. And Kid Sight came on, Kid Sight won, by the way, to sing after me. So you remember 2006. So,
yes,
you know, we had a meeting at the NCF after that. And then, you know, the results stood. So the joke was, the next year when I came fourth, when Jennifer introduced me on stage in 2008, she said, well, we're going to change the announcer's name to Lazarus because he came forth.
Well, we have Dave, can we play a little bit of Past Offering? No, doesn't play? Can't play? No,
no problem.
Okay, yeah, we can play a little bit, yes.
Show me the money now.
I pray you prosper as your soul prosper in this Bible. And of Jesus, many pastors are true disciples. But in this simple gospel, it seems some have lost interest. and prefer to run the church like they run their own business. Emphasis on profit and bottom line. They preach about money most of the time. Following American trend, it's like watching TVN. And they quick to defend the cash they earn and they spend. But not a word about the poor. No message for the elderly. Little encouragement for young people in the society. No vision for the homeless or for those with HIV. So this can't be the church of him who shed his blood for me. Tell me who pass the offering, people suffering. Why don't you lend a hand? So much poverty in we nation, and boy, your study is living grand. How many people in need? You say so sweet and claim I don't understand. But are you really standing on the solid rock? Or sinking itself in sand? You're all about money, money. Oh, your money's money, money. Congregation, everybody out there, raise your money in the air. All I wanna take $100, I'll put it in my pocket right here. Collection, everybody out there, raise more money in the air. All I need, and I wanna take $1,000, I'll put it in my pocket right there.
All right, Dave. Dave. I remember Pastor Offering. Let me tell you, the church people they were mad with you running. Pastor Offering, wave your money in the air like you don't care. Oh, Ronnie, you have caused so much.
Yeah, I got preached about a lot in that summer, and there were people that were coming up to me saying, my pastor preached about you.
Yes.
I said, well, I'm not Jesus. You should be preaching Jesus, because Jesus said, if I be lifted up, I will draw all men nigh unto me. So I said, just tell your pastor preach about Jesus. Don't preach about me.
Oh my goodness. Well,
listen, and someone said to me, well, coming from you is what hurt them. I said, well, the Bible says judgment begins in the house of the Lord. In fact, it says before that, what business is it of ours to judge those outside the church? You don't hear that very often. So I said, if I'm on the inside and I've been through that, then I am perfectly placed to talk about it. Do you want people on the outside who don't know what happens to talk about it? It's best to come from a position of authority.
Yes, and that's the thing, and we were happy you were doing that, because we had a whole play about it, Pastor Offering, and they were mad with Praise Academy, and they were mad with you, but we are having so much fun with this. This is bringing me down memory lane. But let's see if we could kind of move the conversation to this.
But hold on, Marcia. There's just one more thing I want to say, and hopefully something will come out of this. In 2008, I saw the video Silent Scream, which was an evangelistic video about a doctor who performed many abortions in the United States in the 60s.
Yes.
And what changed his mind about it is when he got the image of what the child did when the instrument approached it to kill it, it would go in a fetal position and it would let out a scream, but he couldn't hear it. Mm-hmm. So it was called the silent scream. And that impacted me, because abortion and access to abortion for younger people was also a discussion that was ongoing.
Yes.
And I said, well, let me write a song that looks at every angle. And that song covered every angle. And
what was the name of that one?
Silent Scream. Silent Scream.
Silent Scream.
2008. So I remember going on fireworks with Dennis. And I said to Dennis, I said, this song is a song that if I save one life, it means more to me than anything the competition can give me, right? And I had a song called Kaiso News, which was a massive 10 song that would have done well in finals. But
Yes.
because I wrote
But
Silent
Ronnie,
Stream.
keep speaking. I have to run off to
Yeah.
just keep, yeah.
No problem. So because I had Silent Scream and I was in All Stars with Tassa, I said, Tassa, well, I got this song. I don't want it to waste. And I think you'd do good with it. So she took it. I think Roger Gittins fixed it up. And she was getting double encores in the tent. And I was happy for her. And I said to Dennis, you know, I'm going to put this song out there and hopefully it can impact people. Well, the song, along with The Biggest Loser, made its way to Kensington. And at Kensington, I had a presentation that Rupi did, because Rupi is brilliant with video and graphic design. And we had the Happy Birthday song, but we had the video cut from birthday cake to a bucket with the aftermath of the abortion. And I said to Rupert, I said, Bob, that's my nickname. Don't call him that. I said, Bob, you sure about this? You know, you want to be part of this? He said, let's do it. You know, this is what it's about. And you could have heard a pin drop at Kensington. And after Kensington, I was in Cave Shepherd. I was in the children's department at Cave Shepherd. And this gentleman comes up to me and he says, our daughter was in church. She was part of the youth ministry. Young, she got pregnant. There were people in the church telling her to have an abortion. Let me repeat that. There were people in the church telling her to have an abortion. We were believing God that, notwithstanding the situation, that we wanted our daughter to be healthy and we wanted her child to be healthy. We were praying for some type of confirmation or encouragement. He said he got a call from his brother, I think it was. And he said, listen to the radio right now. And Silent Scream was playing. And he said to me that that was part of the confirmation for them to go forward.
Wow.
Well, he called his wife and said, guess who's here? Ronnie Clark is here. So I had a chat with them. And he was a supervisor at a well-known company. And then around Christmas time that same year, he says, don't go anywhere. I saw him there. And his wife came with the baby. So I saw the baby that I had hoped would emerge as a result of the encouragement of my song.
Wow.
Now, this is 2025. That was 2008. That child will be 17 now.
Wow.
And I want to say, if anybody of that family is seeing and hearing this, and if they are still in Barbados, I'm easy to find. And I had a colleague in the tent. Her mother had a young. She had a baby young. Saw her years later. She said her friends went to that finals in 2008. The same friends that were telling her, you're too young to have a baby. Don't have the baby. She said to me, Ronnie, over time, they got pregnant. And I asked them, so the advice you gave me years back, why haven't you kept that advice for yourself? They said they could not get the images or the performance out of their mind.
Of the silent
So
scream.
I just give God thanks.
Wow.
Yeah, the vision, the graphics that Rupert did and the presentation. Because on stage, I had a crib with It's a Boy and It's a Girl. I also had a violinist, Kiwi. She was playing Amazing Grace. Purnell arranged the song and got her in there in a very touching way. And I had a knife, a bloodied knife, and a bloodied gown, operation gown. So you do these things and you're obedient. And what can I say? To God be the glory.
You don't know. I mean, there are all these children that well, anybody, if that person is hearing, 17 years old, that child would be now, please reach out to the announcer. And that's the interesting thing about what you presented, having some songs that are very comedic. Some songs are hard hitting, you're fighting in the songs. Some songs you're teaching. Some songs, there are all kinds of songs. It's almost as I started off this interview by saying that it's a calling for you. Well, let's bring it up to this time. I mean,
Right.
To 2025, only because of time, because I could listen to you the whole night. So 2025. We're going to listen to this song one more time. So let's just listen to this song one more time, and then you're going to tell us exactly why did you write these lyrics for this song? Why did you choose to write this song and give it the name you gave it? Go ahead.
Who says you can't put a woman to do a man's job? Was a promo for a radio show. I remember kitchen and pan in a minor was the event on which it was said. But over the course of time and history, brilliant performance unveiled the mystery of Carol Robertson, style and grace and flair. When she left, I went to the NCF, and it's happy crop over, no, happy Carol over. Yeah. It's the National Carol Festival, the Carol Festival. Semi-finals gone, 2 songs in competition. I can't even change this one. Jump from the stadium, turn left at Cumbermere gone. And the people in Station Hill can't even make a little berry in the Carol Festival. But thinking not strange, Carol loves to innovate and change.
All right, Dave, come down a little bit, Dave, buddy.
Carol Foundation.
Listen. So Ronnie, what caused the announcer? Sorry, I can't call it that. The announcer. What caused you to decide to write this song?
Well, I'm a participant in the Crop Over Festival. I love Crop Over. And there are certain aspects of Crop Over, including Pickety Crop and the various events I've mentioned there, that help make the festival the community and national event that we've grown to love. And as time goes by, many of these aspects have gone from the festival. And the emphasis is pointing towards activities that do not mirror or reflect the character of the spaces that they occupy. I've made notes as a calypsonian, and I thought that it was time to put these notes together. Now, let me say, I have no personal grief to bear or beef with Carol Roberts, the CEO of the NCF. I don't carry any hatred, disrespect, or disdain for her personally or for the office of the CEO of the National Cultural Foundation. I believe that when you hold that position, or a political position, or an easily identifiable top position with an agency or organization, you are the image, the face, and the voice of it.
Yes.
So the congratulations, the kudos will be directed to you, usually on behalf of the people that you represent. And so too should the differences of opinion, whether they are sung, written, or verbalized. So last year, as I have done on at least 5 occasions with my songs in previous years, I posted on my Facebook and in my social media spaces,
yes,
lyrics, ideas, and concepts which are now reflected in the song as I indicated a year ago, down to the title of the song.
So hold a minute. So you had you had started writing the lyrics of the National Carol Festival on social media. So you put this out after the last crop over.
Yes, I did, because there were principally 2 articles that I determined I would respond to and fly the flag that says next year this song is coming. Now, I've done that many times. In 2004, when TC sang a song, and people were asking me, what am I said, well, look out for TC next year. In 2006, when I went through the indignity of what I went through at the National Stadium, I sang a week later on Dennis's show, Wrong Decision, virtually word for word, a year after that, placed 4th with it. I did it with Vote. I did it with Bashment Soca. I actually wrote Bashment Soca online. I did it with Mia Loves D's. I did it with Free at Last, which was about Don Villinis and how we should approach that issue. And I did it with PMs last year, which said that Errol Barrow is the greatest prime minister we've ever had. So it's nothing new. But if you didn't know that, you would be wondering, where is the announcer going with this? So as far as I am concerned, now that the song is there, I lived up to my word. I put what I shared before exactly where I intended to put it. So any attempt by anybody to do otherwise is not a wise attempt.
So Ronnie, I
made sure, even as someone indicated to me a couple of hours before I went to the tent last week, it may not be the best idea I said it is the best idea. It's the right idea because it fulfills my process all along. So my attorneys are very clear about the song, supportive of the song, and they are ready, willing, and more than able to represent in the event that somebody somewhere wishes to make an issue out of it.
Yes, yeah. Well, let me just read the first verse. Says, "Who says you can't put a woman to do a man's job?" Was a promo for a radio show. I remember Kitchener Panin Minor was the bed on which it was said. Over the course of time and history, brilliance and performance unveiled the mystery of Carol Roberts. On air with style, grace, and flair. Then she left and went to the NCM. So you kind of gave the first verse, you're giving her the background that she went to the end, she left and she went to the NCF, right? Wherever she was.
Correct.
So no, the chorus said, "No, it's happy crop over," and you said, "No, it's not happy crop over at all." Even though that's the slogan, "Happy crop over," you said, "No, it's not happy crop over." Happy Carol over, you said, "Yes." It's a National Carol Festival. The Carol Festival semi-finals gone. Two-song competition gone. Can't even change this one, meaning the song you're singing in the Carol Festival. Now, this is something that the whole idea of having one song. Some people might say, well, that was, they're calypsonians. There are quite a few calypsonians. That's what they want, Ronnie. They might say that is what they wanted. There were calypsonians who wanted that. I don't know of any calypsonians who wanted semifinals gone, but it might be a business decision. Have you guys been able to, as calypsonians, sit down and speak to the NCF on these kinds of issues?
Well, I'm a member of the Barbados Association of Creatives and Artists, and the president is Sean Carter, aka Apache.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he's met on various occasions to discuss a number of things with different organizations, and the National Cultural Foundation would be one.
Mm-hmm.
So the NCF has the right to determine what it does and what it
Yes.
doesn't do, and we have the right to comment on it. My perspective is that Pickety Crop has become too friendly. It's more like a Barbados song contest. Lots of flowers, grass, coconut trees, lovely beach. But there is, well, reticence is a word. There's also reluctance and a choice to stay within certain lines. One could get the impression that to be as safe as possible is deemed by persons who choose to do that, and they have a right to do, to advance.
Oh, to advance. So I'm glad you mentioned that about advancing, because I am saying, if it is that you want to advance, because now there's no semifinals, which means that you're from the 10th, you go straight to the finals. At least if you went to the semifinals, okay, more people could see you, right? Now you, I mean, you've now gone to write a song about the CEO of the competition. What are your chances? You think that this might go against you? Didn't that go through your head as you were writing the song, that the chances are there you might not get to finals with the song?
When I did Reading for Pleasure, I registered that for the competition. And I registered it because if I performed the song well, which I did, I think on that judging night, Donella was flawless. Donella was floating on a cloud in terms of her vocals and performance. She was incredible. But you could go on YouTube and see it yourself. because I think Stephanie Chase recorded it, my judging night performance. I destroyed Lloyd Erskine Sandiford, didn't put a foot wrong. And I believe, most people believe, that finals should have been the destination, but it wasn't. But the reason why I judged it, because I had another song called Music We Love, which was a pan song, and spoke about the history of certain singers and etc. And they said, well, why didn't you judge that? I said, well, if I judged that and not Reading for Pleasure, then the NCF could say, you can't say he was victimized for singing that song. And he mentioned the Prime Minister and Carol Roberts in that song.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say he was victimized because he never judged it. You can't say the judges wouldn't have treated him fairly because he never judged it. I said, no, that's not going to happen. I'm going to put the pressure on you. So said, so done, and we know the outcome. So this one, I registered it because I felt Barbadians must see that we are not living in fear to express ourselves in a manner which is legal, fair, and creative. And in the event we don't share our views, then Calypso, and the competition in particular, will not have any flavor. It will all be plain milk.
Yeah.
There'll be no chocolate, vanilla, or strawberry, malted, or peanut punch.
So you're bringing that variety. Now, what about the response from the audience? So you did it for the first time in your tent. What was the response?
Carter's Shining Stars tent. That was at the All Souls Churchyard Bank Hall. I want to say goodnight to Julie. Julie, brilliant job in the 5th anniversary of the Carter Shining Stars. And I pray that the anniversary will be successful in addition to the way in which you prepare, produce, and present the Carter Shining Stars. So I was backstage. Red Plastic Bag was backstage because he was our guest performer. And I had this song in my heart for a whole year in terms of the concept. And I put all the ideas together in February.
Mm-hmm.
And I had so many verses. But I said, well, Adrian Clark has a strategy where he has very short band choruses, especially if he has a song which is fiery lyrically. You know, the sweet songs he does, the soca songs and the introspective songs, they're brilliantly put together and they're a little lengthier.
Yeah.
But when Adrian is on fire, he doesn't have long band choruses. He always has something happening. Same thing with Ian Webster on certain songs. So I said, well, I don't want it too long. And I want something to happen in every part. That's why there's always something said or done throughout the entire song, from beginning to end. And, excuse me, that's how the song got put together. My arranger is Andy Williams, the great Andy Williams. And I asked him if he's willing to do it. He said, bring the song. And the song, I did it. He was in the audience. I wasn't aware, but I understand he got an award because Julie was sharing awards for people who've helped the tent over 5 years. The place was packed. And I said, Nobby, you have to nail it. You have to nail it. People are seeing and hearing it for the first time. Have the right level of aggression.
Yes.
And where possible, control. But it's a funny song. Now, excuse me. This is the Liverpool Cup, by the way. Liverpool, the best team in the world.
We know that
it is water, okay?
Water. I know it's water.
And Sade, we had a workshop with the All Stars a few years ago. And Sade, Leon singer, she says to me, you write good songs, you know. Sometimes you have great songs, but you always look as though you want to kill somebody on stage. Sometimes you've got a humorous song, but you're still on the serious part. You don't smile. And sometimes we want to know if you plan to hurt the audience or something. So next time you got a song and it's got humor in it, make sure you have that right balance. So
Yeah.
I was remembering all that, and I took to the stage. And opening night always has quirks. Sometimes a lyric comes to you that wasn't supposed to be there, or your entry slightly off in terms of your key, but you catch back. Sometimes you don't sing the part that you're supposed to sing to prompt, the background team. I want to say hello to Debbie and the team. They're great. And I just kept going. I felt, I was surprised. You know what surprised me?
Yeah.
When I got to the part, happy Kropova, no. And then I said, happy Karolova, and the crowd went up in an uproar. And I'm on stage, and I'm saying, you're not supposed to go up, yeah? I've got a lot more to say. What's going on?
Well, let the people let's hold a minute and let's hear them. And with that, I'm going to Miss Maxine McLean. She's scheduled to be on. This is supposed to be our call-in segment, but this interview is so interesting that it's gone over, but it's okay. So she's here, but Miss McLean, give me a thumbs up if you can come in now. So she's gonna come in at this time as we play. Dave, play a little bit more of the song. Thank you. Go right ahead, Dave, as Miss McLean comes in. Can't hear.
Mr. Hardy, no sugar made us free. Would be the dilemma facing our people. Gabby, Jack, Calypso, Kumba, love you, all me want to know. One song to sing, Adonai Jack would have been king. And it's happy Kropova, no, happy Karolova, yeah. It's the National Carol Festival, the Carol Festival. The Hoblock are gone, the kings and the queens gone. It's a soca orgy of bet after bet after bet after bet. It's the Carol Festival. Party monarch gone, soca monarch gone. No proper platform for future soca stars in the Carol Festival. But think it not strange. Soca 5.0 is change. People with inquiring mind ask me why I'm wasting time on Carol, the cultural diva Carol. Nothing on cost of living, whole town history vanishing, but it's Carol. No murder and crime, just Carol. The PM flights, 93, over 1 million in travel fee, but it's Carol. Not Africans in bank, just Carol. But if Carol knows so much about Calypso, how come she never write a Calypso? A witty ditty with a melody so pretty, the piano with a Seminar, webinar, workshop, residency.
Dave, stop right there. Stop there, because it changes. So get started so we can start back at that verse, because it changes there, and I love that about this song. Miss McLean, this is a different kind of segment. Former senator, we have as our guest, as I'm sure you've been listening to, the announcer. After 8, he's been with us, and as somebody said, they could listen to him the entire night. Any questions are welcome, and any questions or comments for the announcer?
Good night, and let me say it's good to have the announcer. I almost call him by his name. I have to follow your lead to have him on the other the other side of the microphone, so to speak. and I must say I listened to the entire session, and as you were speaking to him, and as Dave started, I followed the lines of the chorus. And my question, well, more comment than a question, is that in that chorus, it really highlights what used to be crop over and what has changed. And my question to him would be, from your perspective, how significant or what impact do you see the majority of those changes having on the Crop Over Festival? Because I think you've articulated several changes. And while things are dynamic, changes sometimes, can have impacts that people would prefer not to experience.
Well, there are traditional elements that should remain, because the further you go away from the origins, then you are creating something else. You're in danger of having something that is almost 100% removed from the crop over we know. And people say, oh, it's a bunch of 50-year-olds older than that, complaining, they're not young anymore. And they've got certain types of standards that are fluid. Maybe that's a good word, fluid. So Barbados has to be careful. And let's look at the Calypso competition. Now, you have to put the name of your song when you register. One calypsonian told me they didn't, but it's very clear that you have to put the name of the song before you register or as you register. This is with one song. The beauty of two songs is I have a song called Eternal this year, and it's very poignant because I thought about it after Alvin died this morning. I released it early in the season. It says, one day this life will be over, and the things that you do, you will do them all no more. The people you meet, the places you go, the food you eat, all you know, one day no more. For it is appointed unto man once to die, and then judgment. Eternity is real. It's either heaven or hell. Death is a fact of life. We are born to die. And those who are born twice can say it is well, well, well. Now, I brought that song out after not recording it for 19 years. A song like National Carol Festival in a two-song competition would be paired with the philosophical, inspirational, eternal. Right now, you have to have one or the other, or mix elements of the two and enter it in a competition. But I don't write for competition. I understand their categories, and my songs meet the category. But a song like National Carol Festival has to stick to the topic. It wouldn't make sense me singing about iWeb, ASC, classic, or blood in that song. It's not necessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessary to do anything other than perform the song, to the point where Friday night, the next Friday night, and the Monday at judging night, I have to wear the same outfit, because that outfit is synonymous with what the world is seeing now, because the video has gone viral and people will instantly recognize me when I walk on that stage. By the way, you didn't hear me say happy crop over or welcome to the tent when I entered the stage. I normally do that, but that would be in contradiction to what the song is about. So it was important to go on the stage. And this is another fact for all of you watching this evening. The hat, the tie, the shirt, and the shoes were bought and worn at Richard Stout's funeral.
Okay.
Right? The suit is the suit that I wore when I gave away my daughter a year ago. Now people said, but you wore that suit last year when you did the Aero Barrow song, and you wore the national colors inside. I said, yeah, I wore the suit, but clearly it wasn't seen by the people that mattered. So they won't recognize the suit this year either. It will be like a new suit when I wear it.
The announcer is something else. Miss McLean, you've looked at. I saw you. I know you read through those lyrics.
Yes,
Is there
indeed.
anything else that you want to ask the announcer?
Well, no, I think in typical style, he has chosen topics that are very, how should I say, relevant. I often hear people, but somebody put it here. He doesn't sing for the judges. In other words, he's not singing for expecting to win or whatever. He's writing calypsos that reflect issues that are of concern to him. But how do you think the organizers of the festival typically react to music like this? Because we hear people comment, but you have been around the festival for a long time, and we know Barbadians are not very receptive of criticism, but within the context of Karpova and the persons who have major say, what kind of reactions do you anticipate, or have you actually gotten to this or previous calypsos?
Well, to the song, now that it's been performed and it's gone viral, there's been no feedback or communication, written or otherwise, to challenge me on it. People have a right to say and do what they want, initiate, instigate, or create opposition. That's their right.
Yeah.
I have a right to defend if necessary. What's interesting about this song, it's the first song that hasn't divided my audience.
Okay, interesting.
When you think of all the songs I've ever done, somebody has a problem with it, or a portion of the audience, the active calypso loving audience, might have misgivings about a part of it because of what they support, who they support, what they like, what they don't like. But this reaction is the first time ever that I haven't received from the calypso public, and this song is out there, a groundswell of pushback. I think that speaks for itself. And in terms of how I will be treated, well, the competition has clear rules and clear criteria. And the same way this song hasn't divided anybody, it has the most eyes on it, the most ears on it, and that focus will be, from a competitive perspective, in good measure when judging kicks off. And it kicks off on the 14th of July at the Lloyd Erskine Sandifer Center with the Carter Shining Stars.
What
With
time?
the
14th of July, and it's at the Lloyd Erskine
Sandifer Center. Yes, and Carter Shining Stars, 8 p.m., the first tent being judged. And I usually come in the second half towards the end. And I've done that for many years. I like towards the end. People say I like towards the bottom so much. That's why they place me there. But they can draw their own conclusions. You know.
But Ronnie, let me put a plug there for those of you who want to go out and support the announcer. Lord Erskine Sandifer, the 14th of July, the Shining Stars, Carter's tent. It's going to be 8 p.m. and that's the first tent that's being judged. And
we're gonna be on Friday at St. Barnabas. People asking us if we're doing a church tour, but we got lots of requests after Julie took the tent to All Souls, which is our church, by the way, courtyard. Then we went to Christ the King in Rockdondo last year, and we don't have anything in our tent that is incompatible with what we are encouraged to be and encouraged to do in the messages that the reverends and the pastors would share from the gospel. So the setting might seem strange, but you know, Philippians talks about whatsoever is good, whatsoever is noble, whatsoever is praiseworthy, think upon these things. And that's a lot to think about. So we're going to be there. And then we've got another date the following Friday before we get to the judging. So, you know, we're ready. We're definitely ready.
Yeah. Well, the third verse, Miss McLean, if you check the third verse, you know, and I'm just gonna read it and then we're gonna play it because and the reason I want to do that is what I love her. You're praising her in the third verse. That's what I think. You can tell me if you're not.
And I praise Carol in the first verse. Outstanding broadcaster, one of the best the Caribbean has produced, and still an outstanding broadcaster.
So you praise her in the first verse and you praise her in the third verse. It said seminar, webinar, workshop, residency for Jackie Opel with Dr. Stefan, the Arsenal fan, Freedom Park, season of imagination. And it go worthy of appreciation, applause, praise. I commend. Right, and then but then you said but Carol played she did in the Calypsonian, but how many judging nights last year did Carol attend? Dave, can you play verse 3 for us, Dave, if you can hear me? Let's hear verse 3, and then I want to hear your comment on that, Miss McLean. Go ahead, Dave. Okay, I don't think he's hearing, but
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Well, I think
okay, he's there.
Okay.
Seminar, webinar, workshop, residency. Jackie Open with Dr. Stefan, Arsenal fan, Freedom Park, season of emancipation. Amphitheater for Marcus Garvey, the great man. Work worthy of appreciation. I applaud, I praise, I commend. A Carol played, she dissing Calypso. How many judging nights did Carol even attend? It's happy Carol no, happy Carol over. Yeah. It's the National Carol Festival, the Carol Festival, Cultural Village gone, the Feast at the Plantation gone, and it's just Panty and Bra in Kaluman like One Star. Gospel concert gone, Pan on the Sand gone, it's botanical, not the oval, for the final in the Carol Festival, but think it not straight. Only the hairstyle don't change.
Stop. Run it. But you start, Miss McLean, he started off the song so at the third verse, he's praising her. And at the end of that third chorus, he says, all these things are changing, but that is a fact though. Carol maintains her hairstyle. That hairstyle has been there for a long time. Let me hear Miss McLean.
That's a slightly different one from the one I see in the song, but
they're all big. They're all big. But Miss McLean.
No, I think that's what Calypso is about.
Yes. What is it about?
In terms of what I mean is that you have in that third verse, it's all very serious. It brings a balance to the song where he's critiquing what is happening in relation to the Calypsonians and the competition, etc. And saying, but yes, the NCF is also doing these things. And notice I say the NCF and not Carol, but we could say Carol. But then, of course, who was it that said to him that he goes on, you don't want to kill the people on stage or to come across as you come to kill the people. So you kill them with a bit of humor. You know, there's something that really then gives you a nice punchline to the thing. So I think it adds a fun dimension to the song, and so I like it because at the end of the day, he's singing about Carol, and her over. For me, my interpretation, and don't start me because I did literature, 11 literature. And I always used to say they used to put us to analyze books, whether it was novels, plays, poetry. And my argument is that what the writer intended, but you go in and you delve into it. So I think what it is that we have, because you mentioned third verse initially and was asking for my reaction. And as I was saying, what you have in the beginning was a reminder of what the NCF is supposed to also do. But if you're doing that, and I saw inferred in there's might be some assessment as to how you're doing it, but look what you're doing to us Calypsonians and the competition. And I think that brings a balance that anybody, wanting to critique the criticism of what is happening, needs to appreciate the skill in which Ronnie brings, the skill he brings to this particular calypso. And of course, I like that line because it wasn't, well, I suppose you didn't expect it, but I like it because it adds a humor and gives us something to remember about the song and want to hear it again. So Ronnie has put together a complex enough song, but with enough in it to also make it funny, at least parts of it funny, and that funny part to the end, something to remember. And you call for an encore because of that. But here's a real Calypsonian. I am not one looking at me, so I defer.
Well, Ronnie, I asked Apache to be on because Apache and we would have met you round about the same time. And I was good night, Apache. Apache is the chairman for BACA. He's the president for BACA, the Barbados Association. Did I say that? Of Calypsonian and artists. I said that wrong?
Creatives and artists.
Creatives. I keep that C always gets me. And you are the right man to be on because you were on the show with Colin Spencer. I had him on, Miss McLean, and we were talking about Crop Over, and we were talking about Calypso, Kaiso, and how people are so timid these days. But I mean, what you heard this song, Apache.
Yeah.
You are the president of BACA. What are your thoughts about this song? Is it going to get Ronnie in trouble and get the whole BACA now in trouble because of the song?
The song is very factual. There's nothing in it that's defamatory. There's nothing in it that's libelous. We before they started this season, Ronnie and I would have had a conversation as well without me even knowing the details of the song. But having heard the song, I'm actually one who have been sharing it all over WhatsApp. I think it's very factual. The Calypsonian is the voice of the people, and Calypsonians are people. So just as much as we were saying about any other issue in society, if there's an issue that concerns us, then we should sing about that as well. And I think Ronnie has done it beautifully in this song. I think it's a well-written song. Ronnie has been very consistent throughout the years. We, as you said, Marcia, well, me and Ronnie, we go way back from even before 2004. We go way back to my dancehall days and his rapping days. But we came together in 2004 and we started I think we both started Calypso at that same time in 2004 in the Experience Calypso tank. So Ronnie is a former tank mate and very consistent. Was always consistent. So I love the song. I think it's very factual and I love it.
Now you said it's not interesting, Miss McLean. He is the president of BACA, right? And this is the organization that would govern all of the Calypsonians and help to get their grievances heard, etc. As you listen to the song, Apache, is there anything in the song that you would say that you, as the president of BACA, you would have advocated for on behalf of the Calypsonians?
Yeah, definitely.
Give us an example.
A very prime example, a very real issue is the Calypsonians asking for and BACA lobbying on behalf of Calypsonians for the return of the semifinals. As Ronnie said, semifinals gone. He also said Party Monarch gone, Soca Monarch gone. That was another request of the Soca artists as well for the return of the Soca Monarch. So the aspect of it was shut down for several years, but we are still lobbying for the return of the semifinals of the Pick of the Crop competition. So that's why I say the song is very, very accurate and very factual.
So when you ask the NCF for, if you're saying that this is what the Calypsonians want, my question to you is, what is the response of the NCF when you say, well, as the president of BACA, I am, I'm representing the Calypsonians. This is what they want. They want the semifinals back in the competition. What is the response you get from the NCF and the chairperson, Carol?
So,
Yeah, what do
so
you get?
this request was not initially shut down like the party monarch one. It was being considered, and we the same thing the public heard when the announcement was made by the NCF that there will be no semifinals. That's the same thing that Baca heard. So we did not receive an official response, even though we were in that meeting. We had the discussions with the NCF. We state categorically that there was a split as it relates to one song. The majority of Calypsonians were in favor of the one song, but there were still some who preferred the two songs. But as it relates to the semifinals, we said, unanimously throughout, whether you are a member of BACA, you're not a member of BACA, the Calypsonians of Barbados want and prefer for there to be a semifinal. So it was being considered, and like I said, we only found out that there will be no semifinals when the announcement was made to the general public.
Yes, wow, that is it, Miss McLean. I'm going to get back to Ronnie, but we're talking about you, Ronnie, tonight. So, but Miss McLean, when you hear a response like that from the president of BACA, that they would have gone to the NCF and shared with the NCF the concerns of the Calypsonians, that the NCF is supposed to be, they are the clients, they're the people that they're serving, and no response. They just heard it announced that there's still no semifinal. What goes through your mind hearing that that's how it
Well,
would go?
I've been around so long that I have followed crop over on an annual basis, and the activities and the preparation and the interchanges and the exchanges and the engagement of artists and the various stakeholders in crop over. And one of the things that typified crop over for many years was the engagement, the dialogue that took place in trying to come to a final decision on what crop over in year X or Y or Z would be. And so I find it strange that there's that silence and ignoring of a critical stakeholder. And that does not augur well for the festival or the work of the NCF, because at the end of the day, the stakeholders individually and collectively make the festival what it is. And so when people, so when I listen to the lyrics of the song, I read the lyrics and I hear the conversations, and you hear of an individual, in this case, the head of the NCF, seeming to have from the kind of engagement and from these things, seeming to be in a position to make decisions in a way that was not typical. It's cause for concern. So I really don't understand why the change, because I am sure I heard Ms. Roberts herself say that discussions, or some other representative of the NCF in recent times, that discussions take place as soon as the festival ends, literally and figuratively the next day. So I can't understand why you will ignore the people who represent a critical element, as I said before. That to me is concerning, because that is not taking us forward. That really takes us back as people who look forward to the festival. I mean, I think it was Ronnie who mentioned people in the 50s and so on older, but I can't remember when I was 50. But I can tell you that I certainly enjoyed crop over for many, many years. But for me now, I've lost interest because of some of the changes. So my thing is that there's also a need to recognize that you have mixed demographics looking to participate in the festival. And therefore, the question is, how do you seek to satisfy varying interests? Or are you saying to some Barbadians, your interests or what you want does not matter. And to be very blunt, your money no longer matters, because that's what
Yeah.
you're telling me. If you're saying that you're ignoring things that might be attractive to some people in my generation, if crop over is no longer for persons over 65, because that's where I am at, so
Yes.
so I think that's that whole question of engagement in planning and in reviewing, that's very important.
Yeah. But before we play the last part of the song, someone is asking, the question, and this is what came in my mind. The announcer, what is the motive, the profit for who to remove the semifinals or the two songs from Crop Over? What is it? What is it really? Is it a case where the NCF is saying that this is financially not viable, Ronnie? I mean, the announcer and also Apache. What is it? What do you think is a real? Is it a profit making reason? Is it for profit? The announcer. What are your thoughts?
The National Cultural Foundation should be looking at the artistic profit, the creative profit of the nation. In addition to that, the only major performance element that is sponsored is Piccadilly Crop. Party Monarch isn't sponsored, it's not on. Soca Monarch isn't sponsored, it's not on.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see why ensuring that levels that develop the quality of this traditional aspect of the festival shouldn't be introduced. But I'll say this: everybody has their own style of management,
Mm-hmm.
their own style of leadership, and they believe in certain approaches and processes to effect the vision that comes with their leadership and style. My prayer is, and I hope I live long enough to see it, is that there will be someone who will have that authority to implement what many prefer and desire. Like I said
Yeah.
before, this is not anti anybody. I love the NCF. For my time in Barbados, 40 years, I've always worked well with them. I've had differences of opinion and been at the end of some unfortunate, in my view, circumstances. But I love what the entire team at the NCF is doing for Barbados. But I have a right to disagree, and I have a right to voice my opinion. I am sponsored this year by freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is my sponsor this year.
Ronnie, Ronnie, you are something. Ronnie is sponsored by Freedom of Speech. I need to start saying that the show is sponsored by Freedom of Speech. Listen, but let me go to Ronnie. I could listen to you the whole night. Listen, Apache, there people are saying that the Calypsonians that you represent,
Mhm.
that really they should boycott the festival and let Carol sing, because she's saying that the songs are so poor. I mean, she gave you all a thrashing at the end of last
Crop over last
Crop.
year. Mhm.
I mean, she went to town on you all. How terrible you guys were, and have been. Why don't you all boycott the festival?
there is, like in many other areas in Barbados, there's always this, and that's why I love, there are few calypsonians that are bold.
Mm-hmm.
Calypsonians need to be bold, but there are very few who are bold, bold enough to hold fast to their convictions, whether their convictions be in favor or opposing a position of the NCF or a position of the government. But several calypsonians, I could tell you, and Ronnie, as a member of BACA, he can tell you because he sees conversations in the chat. Several calypsonians are scared. They're scared to speak. So if they're scared to speak, they're certainly not going to boycott. Not this level, because I mentioned two things, but the third thing that is in the song as well, in that same third verse, is when Ronnie mentioned the finals will be at Botanical Gardens or not at Kensington. Now, that has been the most recent call. The loudest call would have been for there to be a semifinals. We would have had dialogue and discussion at the NCF concerning that. But more recently, it was even ventilated on Starcom's fireworks show, where the Calypsonians, and this ties directly into what Miss McLean just shared, because several, again, the Calypsonian doesn't only speak on his or her behalf. The Calypsonian speaks on behalf of the public. The Calypsonian is the voice of the people. And not only the Calypsonians, but the public are saying we prefer Kensington to Botanical Gardens.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
not
Okay.
it's not only the voice of the Calypsonians that is being ignored. It's the voice said. It's the voice of the people. So you are saying to people, you know, what you prefer don't matter to me. So I don't need your money, because at the end of the day, we go on stage, but we go on stage to perform for the public. We go on stage to perform for our audience, and we cater our songs based on our convictions. Yeah, but the way how the songs are packaged, they're packaged for entertainment, and they're packaged to entertain an audience. So we are catering towards our audience. And I think that the powers that be, they should do the same. They should listen to the masses. Marketing 101, if you need to know what to do, ask your clients what they want and give them what they want. It's as simple as that. Any business person knows that. Ask the customer what they want, give them what they want. If the people are saying we prefer Kensington, then you it has happened before, so it can be done. So you do what the public wants, because the public are the ones who are paying to come and see a show.
Yeah. Somebody here saying that they have stopped going since it's been taken to, they call it me a bush guard. Oh Lord help me. So they're not listening, in your opinion, they're not listening to the people, and they're not listening to the Calypsonians. So basically, here we go again. People are just doing what it is that they want, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, we're at the end of it's 10:03, Ronnie. I can't believe time goes when you're having fun. But I before we go, we want to, I would love for Miss McLean to say an affirming word to Ronnie, to the announcer. We don't have Ronnie tonight, the announcer, and for Sean to say this, Apache say the same thing. Those of you online, over 1,000 of you still watching, even though the time is gone, I would like you to put something encouraging in the chat for the announcer tonight. I want us, as we started off the program by saying, let's give people their flowers now, right? So let's give the announcer some flowers, people, tonight, because we know it's not easy to stick your neck out there. We know that. So come on, let the comment section go now, guys. Give him some love. Give him some love as we close up. And then we go started with Miss McLean, then Apache, and then we're going to play the remainder of the announcer, and we end the show. All right, Miss
Well,
McLean,
here goes. Yeah, I want to say that in Calypso, if you look at how it has been defined, speaks of the kind of approach to writing your songs, your lyrics, the topics you choose, and indeed the controversy that it conjures up sometimes. And I think part of the challenge that we are having in Barbados is that people are writing songs that do not necessarily fall into what I would call the traditional description or definition of what constitutes a calypso. And it is a person like yourself, Ronnie, who understands that, but who also it has a firm conviction that you want to express honestly. And the point you made is important. You're not out there to vilify anybody, but you are speaking to issues as calypsonians have done for decades in a way that attracts an audience and really highlights issues that need to be highlighted. They may be uncomfortable for some, and but I think that is the nature of Calypso, and I thank you for it, and I hope we will continue, because as we heard from Apache, people seem to be afraid of what I don't know. Marcia has written a book about losing, about fear, so I leave her to remind us of the topic, and the title. But I congratulate you, and I continue to follow your music. As you said, and as I said earlier, the lyrics reflect a balance of an agency, and as such, you're highlighting a problem or set of problems which need to be highlighted, and that is what Calypso is about. So thank you. And
Thank you, Miss McLean. And Kim Tay saying, Ronnie, I've followed you for years as an artist. Continue writing, singing, and fighting the battle. I want you to hear these things, Ronnie. Those I can ask V Hoy or somebody to take a picture for me of these comments, because as you know, once the show is finished, we lose the comments. So can somebody do that? Be kind for me and do that. We want to send them to Ronnie. We want to encourage him. Stop. Somebody said top tune for 2025 season. Marie H says that's my favorite announcer. Love you. Some Shakir said big up yourself, announcer. Somebody says we love you and appreciate you. Somebody says Queen D said announcer, you're awesome. Keep up the work, good works and the penmanship. And somebody said win announcer, win. Listen. Oh, that person is listening from Jamaica, and they're saying win announcer. They're listening from um, the announcer. Keep pressing ahead, and great things make it happen. Also, Galbiz says, stand your ground, announcer. Keep pressing on. Continue to speak truth to power. Big respect to you. Edwin Pilgrim says, keep pressing on, announcer. You are loved and appreciated. Queen D said, Barbadian loves you and looks forward to your work. And Kamar says, keep it up, announcer. You show well developed backbone. My announcer, great work over the years. Keep representing God and speaking truth regardless. Yes. For the announcer, Tanisha said, keep singing truth. Stephen Strickland, who did not get to come back on because the show just took a different turn with Ronnie sharing his story and his testimony, and it was just so intriguing. We did not get to do NIS questions. I know you had a lot of them, and I did send your questions on the ones you sent me in my phone. I sent to Stephen Strickland, but he's still watching and he understands. He said, I have tremendous respect for the announcer, and as would see walking from Starcom in the market to buy lunch, not stuck up. That the announcer is not stuck up. We don't know who the other person is that Starcom. And it's the boulder says, sing your song and play it again and again, sing it again and again, and the list goes on. Michelle Harewood, keep the social commentary. I like your latest song. And listen, it is going on. His Harris says, your songs will be remembered for many years to come. Can somebody take these to me, please? To the announcer, Polly Maynard said, blessings for successful season. I say this because sometimes, Apache, when you put your head out, right, and you do something, sometimes it can be tough, It can be tough. And we've learned our lesson with losing one of our entertainers today, that we need to say it. We need to say it. Don't just think it. Say it.
Agree.
Say it. Okay, over to you now, Patrick. Say something nice to your comrade here, fellow Calypsonian.
Well, Ronnie knows how I feel about him, but I don't have a bone saying it publicly. As I told him privately, we're in the heart of the president of Baka. Ronnie the announcer has our full support. Whatever happens, whichever way it turns, he knows he has the full support of me as the president. He has the full support of the executive. He has the full support of Baka. As a fellow Calypsonian, I said it before. I'll say it again. I think this song is brilliant. I think Ronnie is one of the most consistent Calypsonians we have. He's true to the art form, and Ronnie appreciate that about you staying true to the art form. You're a true Calypsonian. You are the voice of people. A Calypsonian is neither BLP or DLP. I've seen Ronnie throughout the years praise both parties and share licks to both parties, and that's the mark of a true Calypsonian.
That is true.
And I applaud you for that, brother. And saying, brother, I also have maximum respect for Ronnie as my brother. Like I said, we go way back. We go way back to our first year walking up Spring Garden in Walk Holy Band as well. That's what the treasured moments that we have together as brothers. So much love, and I wish you all the best for the season, brother. And like I said, you have our full support.
Full support, and we are going to show that the 14th of July. Can you write that down, everybody? Let's go to the Lord Erskine Sandiford, 8 p.m., 14th of July. Ronnie and that entire tent, which is a Shining Stars, Carter's Shining Stars. And let's go support Ronnie. And whatever they think, Ronnie's our winner. All right.
Just to remind the Marcia that we will be at the St. Barnabas Churchyard this Friday from 8 p.m. So if you can't make it the 14th, come out this Friday. The entire team will be there. We've got the band. We just got everything right for you. You need to come and see what Julie is going to be doing to make it wonderful for everybody who comes on Friday. Special thanks to all of you for your comments and your support. You know, it reminds me of when we had the COVID town hall meetings, and I shared what I was led to share, and it's the same type of support that I'm getting today. You know, we have to speak our mind, we have to speak the truth, and we have to defend the right to freedom of speech. Be respectful, but don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. Don't be bullied. All right?
Well said.
Yes, when we lose our fear, they lose their power. So let's play. Dave, take us out with with the last, I think the chorus or last part of the song.
The great man, work worthy of appreciation. I applaud, I praise, I commend. A Carol played, she did sing the Calypsonian. How many churchy nights did Carol even attend? It's happy couple over. No, happy Carol over. Yeah. It's the National Carol Festival. The Carol Festival. Cultural village gone. The feast at the plantation gone. And it's just Panty and Bra in Kaduman at Horn Star. Gospel concert gone. Pan for the sand gone. It's botanical, not the oval. For the final in the Carol Festival. But thinking not straight. Only the hairstyle don't change. It's here, Carol, foundation. Hello, Carol, I'm depending on you.
All right, guys. See you all at the finals. God bless you. Bye-bye, folks. See you. We're well over. Good night. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, the announcer. Ronnie was not here. Thank you, the announcer. Thank you, Madame McLean, for being on. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you, Pachi, for joining us. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dave. Thank you to the audience. God bless you. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.